at the corner of Maple and Razorback Road. Darren McFadden up against the coaching ingenuity of Steve Spurrier. You know, good football, kind of like a good grill. You got to bring a lot of heat to make both of them work. Both teams bringing it tonight. Under the lights at Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Welcome everybody to ESPN2's College Football Primetime, presented by GoDaddy.com on senior night here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Pivotal game for both South Carolina and Arkansas. And here's why as we look at the division standings. Georgia and Tennessee up top. South Carolina even up at 3 apiece. Meanwhile, in the Western Division, the defending champs from Arkansas sitting at just 1-3 right now, but still able to make some moves, perhaps with 3 games remaining. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davies. Stacey Dales is down on the field, joining us in just a few moments. This is the 16th meeting all time between these two teams. Bob, we just saw the standings. Arkansas, a prideful team still. Meanwhile, South Carolina, mathematically, with a probability of doing some big things still.
Mark, you're exactly right. I mean, both these teams have 3 losses, but a lot on the line tonight. For South Carolina, still an outside shot at the SEC East. For Arkansas, a chance to finish strong, go to a great bowl game. And for Darren McFadden, still a legitimate chance at the Heisman. There's an old saying in coaching, Mark, and I know you love these old sayings.
All of them.
They remember what you do in November. We're in November right now. These teams are at the crossroads.
Yeah, that's become a battle cry for this Arkansas team. Meanwhile, you talked about McFadden. When you look at premier running backs across the country, McFadden and his guy in the backfield with him, Jones, like a Ferrari on 24-inch rims, man, just rolling on chrome.
You love that, don't you?
Oh, smooth.
But I'll tell you, Mark, there's 3 running backs in this game tonight. All 3 will play in the NFL and play well. Darren McFadden, everybody knows. He was the front runner for the Heisman when the season started. Had some injuries, 100% healthy. Felix Jones doesn't get as much attention, but he's averaging 8.8 yards a carry. And for South Carolina, Corey Boyd had 160 yards, Mark, last week against Tennessee, and you know he is super motivated going against Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. He is playing for the money. He is a 5th-year senior at South Carolina.
A punishing running back, ready to make headlines of his own tonight here at Reynolds Field against the Arkansas Razorbacks. This is senior night here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. This is their last home game for 17 Razorback seniors. A prideful group, a poignant moment. Tonight, a night certainly pulling on the heartstrings. Quarterback's a big part of the equation tonight, and for more, let's go down to Stacey Dales.
No question, Mark Jones. If you recall back to last week, Arkansas quarterback Casey Dick got rocked in the second quarter by Florida International. Said it was the hardest hit I've ever taken. He was immediately taken to the hospital for a CAT scan, which turned up negative, but he did suffer a mild concussion. Now, we talked to him yesterday. He said he was quite sore, had a lot of bruising down his right side, but amazingly enough, didn't miss any practice this week. Said he feels really good, but certainly pocket protection will be a big key for him. And on the other side, South Carolina quarterback Blake Mitchell will be getting his first start in 5 games. He had a terrific game last week against Tennessee, coming off the bench for 31 completions. And I also spoke with him this week. He said the bottom line is if you don't perform for Steve Spurrier, you don't play for Steve Spurrier. He's feeling very confident, particularly, he said, because his offensive line has improved. But we know, again, I mentioned it, pocket protection will be a big key, Mark, in this football game.
All right, thanks a lot, Stacey. Yeah, some intriguing and compelling storylines about tonight's matchup between South Carolina and Arkansas. All in all, a great night of college football on ESPN, ESPN2, ABC. As 50 Cent would say, don't hate, celebrate tonight.
best. Now you're being put to the test. Welcome to the Terror Dome. Now you're on your own. We gon' see who regulates and who gets to celebrate.
Under the lights here at Reynolds Razorback Stadium, college football primetime presented by GoDaddy.com, featuring South Carolina and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas coming in a pretty hot team right now. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, but some people call into question the level of the competition they've defeated during those last 4 wins.
Mark McFadden, Darren McFadden back on kickoff return. The 25, Felix Jones. This is the guy. He's run 2 back already, 90 and 82 yards. He has not had a kick return in 2 weeks because they choose to kick it to number 5.
And this time, Bob, they kick it towards Jones, who's able to field it all the way up at the 19-yard line. Somebody got their hat knocked off. Maybe symbolic of the way that the night's going to go out to the 33-yard line. And hey, folks, Dallas Cowboy owner Jerry Jones introducing the Razorback offense, presented by GoDaddy.com.
Razorbacks have the 3rd best rushing offense in the nation. The reason, Heisman Trophy candidate Darren McFadden. Watch for the wild hog formation in which he will run up and line up as quarterback. Real unique. The key to great rushing is the offensive line. I should know. I played guard for our 1964 championship squad. They'd have made it without me. In each of his 31 career starts, center Jonathan Louise have helped pave the way for 100-yard rushing efforts. Suey Pig.
Hey, what about him on the offensive line? Jerry Jones, a big ugly up there on the front, figuratively speaking, of course.
And Jimmy Johnson, the other guard. But I know Jimmy Johnson would be the first one to tell you, those great running backs, they make those offensive linemen look pretty good, man.
Yeah, sure do, Bob. That was a 2-yard gain, meanwhile, by McFadden on the game's first carry. 2nd down and about 9 to go. Jones in motion. The handoff goes to McFadden over the right side of that offensive line, and he's brought down by Marvin Sapp. And here's the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, with his Gamecocks defense.
Starting at defensive end, a big play guy, Eric Norwood from Ackworth, Georgia. Casper Brinkley from Thompson, Georgia, is an outside backer. Rodney Paulk, our inside backer from here in Columbia. And in the secondary, Emmanuel Cook, number 21 from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida.
All right, we're looking at a 3rd down and 6. Spurrier talked about that secondary. That's the strength of that South Carolina defense. Casey Dick going to pass, fires, and delivers a strike near midfield, and that's good enough for a 1st down. He found his tight end, Andrew Davey, picking up 11 yards on the play.
Mark, you mentioned 3rd down, not a great down for this Arkansas offense. They are a running football team. And 3rd and 6 for Arkansas, that's like 3rd and 10 for other teams. And that was a big, big conversion right there.
Well, Stacey Dales talked about it in the show opening as to the questioned health of Casey Dick, suffering a mild concussion last week, delivered a strike that time. This is Felix Jones trying to get to the edge, squares those shoulder pads and gets a 1st down at the 35-yard line.
And Mark, Felix Jones averages 8.8 a carry. But on his first carry of the game, he averages 17.5. Is that an unbelievable statistic?
Well, Bob, he's off a little bit. He only got 15 on that first carry.
Man, that is unbelievable. The first time he touches it to average 17.5.
There's more than just a one-trick pony there in the backfield for Arkansas tonight. A little end around, Michael Smith on the carry, and Smith with a nice gain, close to the 20, pushed out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Smith, a sophomore, picks up 15. This is what the Razorbacks like to do. They can hit a home run in the running game.
Well, in the key tonight, South Carolina #1 in the Southeastern Conference, 3rd in the nation in rushing. And this is a talented South Carolina defense. But if they have one weak spot, Mark, it is rush defense. So there's no question what the matchup is tonight.
Bob, we get our first look at the Wild Hog offense as McFadden lines up his quarterback. No quarterback can lower his pads and his hat like that. 1st down, Razorbacks. Garner with a nice block up front for McFadden, and McFadden has just gone over 1,000 yards on the season.
He is healthy. Watch the end of this run, though. Watch right there when he drops those pads down and gets about 5 more yards, and this place is electric right now. But this guy right here, for a tall, thin-legged guy, Mark, he can drop those pads and deliver a blow.
Bobby picked up 13 on that gallop, and Emmanuel Cook, number 21 for South Carolina, took a blow on the play. 1st and goal for Arkansas. Another wild hog formation. McFadden looking to pass. Gets down to the 5-yard line, and when I said pass, I meant it. He's thrown 4 touchdowns in his career.
And how about all the moving parts in this offense? It's really, when they get into Wild Hog, it looks like the old wishbone.
Yeah.
Just a lot of moving misdirection. Casey Dick back in at quarterback.
Well, he could still line up as a receiver, though. McFadden, meanwhile, keeping good company, joining Herschel Walker as one of just 2 SEC backs to rush for over 1,000 yards in their first 3 years. Here he is again, McFadden powering forward. Stopped up at the 3-yard line by Marquis Hall. 6'3" junior making the stop. 3rd and goal coming up for the Razorbacks.
And what is frightening, if you're South Carolina defense, this Arkansas team averages over 6 yards a carry, Mark, as a team. That means every time they hand the ball off, they average 6 yards, which is amazing to me.
They've been doing it that way all season, and it's been a good formula for them. Single back formation. 3rd and goal on the fade. Touchdown, Marcus Monk. Monk, one of those 17 seniors, playing his last home game here.
Well, Mark, and you're right. And Marcus Monk, who had 1 snap in the first 7 games because of a knee injury, only had 2 catches last week against Florida International, but having this 6'6" receiver back is huge. And how about Casey Dick with 2 big 3rd down completions in that drive, Mark?
Yeah, he looked pretty poised in the pocket on his throws, coming off of a mild concussion last week. Monk with his 2nd touchdown catch of the season. He hasn't caught many passes, but he's made them count. Monk getting his funk on right there as Arkansas, an impressive opening drive, leads 7-0 when we come back. This ESPN2 telecast is available in striking high definition on ESPN2 HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro. A very impressive 9-play, 66-yard drive, eclipsing 3:16 on the clock to open a game for the Arkansas Razorbacks, still in rhythm offensively at least. And boy, a great sign to see Marcus Monk back in action after missing most of the season due to a couple of knee surgeries. This is Culver on the kickoff return for the Gamecocks. And Culver found himself a nice seam all the way out to the 30-yard line. And here's head coach Steve Spurrier introducing his Gamecocks offense, presented by GoDaddy.com.
Starting at quarterbacks, the 5th-year senior from LaGrange, Georgia, Blake Mitchell. At wide receiver, number 11, Kenny McKinley from Atlanta. Corey Boards, our starting tailback from Orange, New Jersey. And Webb Brown from Boonville, North Carolina, is our center.
Blake Mitchell at the controls of this Gamecock offense. This game against Arkansas has special feelings for him. It was a year ago that he came off the bench to do something special to revive his career at South Carolina. Here he goes on 1st and 10, completing the pass to Boyd. Boyd, a prolific runner, close to the 1st down at the 40-yard line. And here's 1964 Arkansas national champ Jerry Jones introducing the Razorback defense.
Our defense has steadily improved over the last few weeks, especially against the pass. Look for Malcolm the Wood Shepherd to lay some wood in the South Carolina backfield. Leading all linebackers with 69 tackles this season is Weston Dacus. And the secondary features hard-hitting safety Matt Hewitt. Go get him, Hog.
I kind of like the whoop big suey that he gave after the last introduction. Flags down on the field. Well, South Carolina, and I'm not saying that this is against them yet, but they've had some problems.
Before the snap, false start, number 77, offense, 5-yard penalty, Still first down.
That's what's been killing Steve Spurrier, eating away at his guts this year. They've had so many different combinations on the offensive line. A few weeks ago against Vandy, they had 7 sacks allowed and 5 false starts, Bob.
Yeah, Mark, they've had a lot of different guys they've alternated in there on the offensive line. 6 different guard combinations alone. And keep in mind, Blake Mitchell's played a lot of football for South Carolina, but this is his first start since September 22nd at LSU. But he did come off the bench last week against Tennessee, threw for 290 yards in the second half.
Yeah, put 21 points on the board very quickly within a 10-minute span in the third quarter to really get South Carolina back into that game against the Volunteers.
But you watch this South Carolina offense, it's all about Corey Boyd, number 3, the tailback, and Kenny McKinley, number 11, the wide receiver. Not much depth at wide receiver. I mean, Kenny McKinley has 55 catches. I think 13 is the next closest for any other wide receiver.
Corey Boyd is the next leading wide receiver. Very uncharacteristic, you would think, of a Steve Spurrier-led offense. Doing it a different way this year. This is South Carolina's opening drive of the ball game. Little pressure coming. And the pass incomplete, intended for Jared Cook, who was open and had room ahead of him. McKinley, as Bob mentioned a few moments ago, a huge part of that offense, and especially the receiving yardage. LaCorn, Freddie Brown, and others contributing 149 yards.
And what they've tried to do, Mark, is get the tight ends a little more involved in the passing game. You saw Jared Cook, number 84. Also Wesley Sanders, number 88. 2 big tight ends they're trying to get the ball to a little bit more to offset that lack of productivity at wide receiver.
2nd and 15 coming up. Corey Boyd on the draw, and he stopped up. Maybe lost a yard on the play, back at the 33-yard line as we go back to Stan Verrett for the SportsCenter in-game update.
All right, Mark, this Taco Bell studio update takes us to LSU and Alabama. Tied down 17-3 at one point. They come back with 24 unanswered. John Parker Wilson to Keith Brown right there. But LSU comes right back. Matt Flynn, 3 picks in this game, but he hooks up with Demetrius Byrd, who made the game-winning catch against Auburn. And the Tigers back within 3 and driving now.
Now, for Stan's sake, I hope LSU has a good night, because I don't want him to go in the tank. He's from that area.
He's from New Orleans now. Pass protection, Mark. That's been the problem for South Carolina.
They get a little bit here, and then it collapses on Mitchell. Batted down to the line of scrimmage by Malcolm Shepard, a.k.a. The Wood. And he did lace him on Mitchell that time, batting the pass down. 4th down coming up for the Gamecocks.
You're not going to see Malcolm Shepard. He's lined up wide right here at defensive end. But as we let this roll, you're going to see he's going to beat Justin Sorenstam right there. Malcolm Shepard, Mark, played defensive tackle early. They've moved him back to his natural position of defensive end, and he is a quick guy off the ball.
How tough a change is that for him to move outside?
Oh, he loves it. He loves it out there in space now. A little more area to work.
A little bit more of a glamour position. Get to rush that passer once in a while. This is Norton on the punt return. Calls for the fair catch right around the 40-yard line. In good starting field position for the Razorbacks on their 2nd offensive possession of the game. Just a 27-yard punt on the play by the Gamecocks. McFadden, this is about the time he caught fire last year on his run for the Heisman. Back after this.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is...
A look at Tusk, a 380-pound Russian boy. That's a lot of pig right there, Bob.
Hey, Mark, that thing's for real.
Yeah.
You know, I live out in Scottsdale, Arizona, kind of up in the foothills a little bit. And we have these little javelinas running around. I told you about out in our community.
Right.
Javelina's kind of a poor man's razorback there. They don't look anything.
Smaller version?
Much smaller.
That guy serves as the official live mascot. Takes leave from his home at a local farm to attend all the home games here, and they stay on the ground. Arkansas does. McFadden brought down by Sapp, picked up 3 on the play.
Mark, you get a feel being around these Arkansas players and coaches. What a huge game this is. You know, Arkansas is a 5-3 football team, but they're 1-3 in the SEC, and they're 1-5 in their last 6 games in the SEC. So for credibility with these fans and everyone else, this is a huge game.
McFadden trying to add to the credibility of the program and the team out to the 45. Picked up 3 more. Eric Norwood making the stop on the play. One of the keys that Arkansas talked about, the job up front by the offensive line, Bob, staying on blocks. In layman's terms, is there anything more to it than that?
What it means is just stay with that guy a second longer. But what a great motivation that is when you know McFadden and Felix Jones are back there, Mark. If you stay on your block just a little bit, they're going to run by people.
3rd and 4. They converted last time on 3rd down. Casey Dick converts again. Complete to Davey again. And Davey inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Andrew Davey, a 6'5 sophomore, but he is a little older at 23 years old, a former Major League Baseball player, minor league actually, out of the St. Louis Cardinals system.
And Mark's second catch for Andrew Davey, you're going to see him right here, but he's going to run across the field after the play action fake by Casey Dick. Right there's the play action, man-to-man coverage. The linebacker gets picked by the umpire right there. The freshman, number 83, Cliff Matthews, was picked on that play.
Gives him a 1st down. Here's McFadden into the boundary on a quick toss. McFadden delivers the blow at the 35. Let's go back to Stan Verrett in the studio.
All right, Mark, over on ESPNU, it's Rutgers and Connecticut. And this is after Rutgers field goal made it 18-6. It's Tyvon Branch making moves and getting the crowd up on their feet in East Hartford. He's taken it 97 yards for the touchdown. Connecticut, number 13 in the BCS and in control of the Big East race and leading this one by 19 now.
Boy, what a great story UConn is this year. They run it out of bounds on the edge. That was Marcus Monk. Picked up 3 yards, got a nice block out front, and knocked out of bounds by Captain Munnerlyn. Marcus Monk was injured in early August in training camp and underwent 1 arthroscopic knee surgical procedure, and then a couple of weeks later had to undergo a second one and didn't start playing until just 3 weeks ago, actually. And he is a huge part of what they would have liked to have done in the passing game.
Well, Mark, you're right. I mean, he had 37 catches in 04, 35 in 05, 50 last year, and 192 against South Carolina last year. So, yeah, I mean, this is a huge piece of the Arkansas offense.
On 3rd down again, they've converted 3 times, and now it's going to be 3 out of 4, way high, intended for Peyton Hillis, and Marcus Monk also in the area.
And I think the thing you see right there with Casey Dick, Mark, is just accuracy right there. I mean, he completely overthrew that football to Hillis. So he's completing about 53% of his passes, but accuracy and confidence are the 2 things that he may be lacking just a little bit.
As a consequence, Bob, the place kicker comes in, Alex Tejada, who's 14 of 17 on the season. He's been one of the real strengths of this Arkansas team. This one from 50 yards out, this would be a long for him. His present long is 47, and he pushed that one on to the left. And South Carolina will bring it back the other way, trying to snap out of its 2-game funk. What's the old ball coach got up his sleeve? We'll find out in a minute. Back at Reynolds Razorback Stadium, I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Stacey Dales down on the field. 7-0 for the home crew. This on senior night. 17 Razorback seniors playing their final game here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. They do have one more quote-unquote home game remaining. That game to be played in Little Rock. 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks at their own 33-yard line. Blake Mitchell at quarterback. Corey Boyd is the deep back out of the eye. A little play fake and going up top. Caught and ruled complete at the 36-yard line by Kenny McKinley, who got in behind Michael Grant. And what a well-placed ball, Bob.
Mark, that was a great ball, but I want you to watch Michael Grant. He starts to look back for the ball too early right there, and as a result loses a little bit and falls behind Kenny McKinley. But boy, what a great throw right there by Blake Mitchell. No question, Mark, this kid can make all the throws now.
Came off the bench last week for Smelly and was 31 of 45 for 288 yards passing against Tennessee. Almost brought them back to victory. Boyd on the handoff right between the tackles, got about 4 yards on the play, and back to Stan Verrett in the studio for a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update.
All right, Mark, Navy held on a 2-point conversion by Notre Dame in the 3rd overtime to beat the Irish 46-44. That snapped a 43-game losing streak to the Irish. And Kansas beat Nebraska 76-39. It's the most points Nebraska's ever given up in the history of their football program. Tied recent with 6 touchdown passes. More on SportsCenter at 11 Eastern, or stay current with ESPN News.
You got it, Stan. And boy, Nebraska, you talk about a program that's more than a little sideways right now. Mitchell with a quick 3-step drop, complete. Brown makes the catch down to the 20-yard line. That's Mo Brown as opposed to Freddie Brown. Picked up 11 on the play. And we take a look at the numbers. South Carolina offensively. And Bob, usually, you know, we're used to seeing prolific passing games from Spurrier, but it's a little more dip and dunk this way, isn't it?
Well, Mark, I don't think you've really seen that prolific offense since he's been back in college football at South Carolina, but they're inconsistent at quarterback. They have no balance at wide receiver because Kenny McKinley has been the only productive guy, and they're a little bit shaky on the offensive line. So, I mean, that's a simple reason why those statistics are not very impressive now.
It's a bad recipe that doesn't add up. This might, though, and it's overthrown. Intended for LaCorn, who was wide open.
Mark, that is very similar to the throw Blake Mitchell missed at Tennessee last week. A simple corner route to Dion LaCorn. He had him wide open right there. Same thing at Tennessee last week. And you can see a little bit of the inconsistency right there. That was an easy throw.
That's what furrows the brow of the old ball coach on the sidelines. He says that we're just not making the type of plays that championship teams make. 2nd and 10. Mitchell to pass again. Same area and same result. Incomplete. This time McKinley couldn't hang on. Got his hands on it too. Got him behind Norton. And it's 3rd and 10 coming up.
And you're just going to get man-to-man coverage right there. And Kenny McKinley had Jarrell Norton beat. Wow, that's 2 plays back-to-back, Mark, that could have been huge plays for South Carolina. So inconsistency is the key word for the South Carolina offense.
Looks like they ran the same exact play twice, Bob. 3rd and 10 coming up. This is the fewest touchdown passes that a Spurrier team has ever had. The record for the season at 21, a dubious number. This pass caught. And it's going to be ruled, well, we'll wait. They both say incomplete, intended for Cook. Couldn't get a foot in bounds. He was working against Love.
Yeah, Mark, he was out of bounds, but watch the pass protection. Great pass protection by South Carolina. But right here, Jared Cook's going to catch it. But watch that left foot is out of bounds. But a positive, great pass protection.
Gave him plenty of time, and Cook couldn't drag that other foot to stay in bounds. It sets up a 4th down and 10 with 6:26 to go here in the first period of play. Steve Spurrier's team coming into this game on a 2-game losing streak, 3-3 in the Eastern Division of the SEC. Ryan Succop in to attempt this field goal.
They may want to call timeout right here. The clock's going to wind down.
They got it off just barely, Bob, and Succop makes it from 37 yards out. He made a clutch one last week with time winding down in regulation, but then missed one in overtime, which would have extended it to a 2nd overtime period. So Ryan Succop atoning there, albeit maybe a little bit too late for the old ball coach.
And you know right now what Steve Spurrier is talking about, missed opportunities. He's shaking that head in frustration, Mark. They had an opportunity for 2 big plays on those back-to-back corner routes.
Well, Bob, emotions swirling across campus in Columbia, South Carolina, as students remembered their classmates who were lost in a fire that swept through a beach house at Ocean Isle Beach Resort in North Carolina, where 6 South Carolina students were killed during a weekend getaway. 6 survivors were hospitalized and released. Today, the South Carolina football team will honor those students by placing stickers on their helmets with the phrase "Forever to Thee," a line from the school's alma mater. And the team honoring the memory of those students that perished. 7 in all.
I think Steve Spurrier said it best in his press conference. He has 4 children that have gone off to college, and that is your worst nightmare as a parent.
Yeah. The community drawing strength from the football team, and it's a synergistic relationship. It goes 2 ways. The football team doing the same. And Commemorating the memory of those students as McFadden on the kickoff return, and Stacey Dales has more downstairs.
Yeah, Mark, as a result of this terrible tragedy, the football team, Steve Spurrier, has designed a sticker to wear on their helmets. And actually, multiple program teams within the program will be wearing this sticker. It's Forever to Thee. I have one on my own jacket. This sticker is, the words come from the alma mater song, the last words of the alma mater song. And Steve Spurrier said he really wanted to tie together the community for this tragedy. And actually, linebacker Marvin Sapp served on a campus ministry to help the victims mourn and really come together, like I said, but certainly a terrible tragedy, Mark, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the families.
Good stuff, Stacey. Casey Dick looking to pass, and he finds McFadden. McFadden tackled almost immediately at the 41-yard line, picking up 4 yards on the play. Polk making the stop on McFadden. It was about this time last year that Darren McFadden made a serious run for the Heisman Trophy, eventually ending up in second place, although he did win the Doak Walker Award as the best running back in college football. And Bob, this is the first time in about 4 weeks that he's very healthy. He bruised his ribs in a game we did several weeks ago here against Kentucky.
Yeah, Mark, he wasn't even in the top 10 last year at this time in the Heisman race.
Oh, and he fumbled it. He put it on the ground. That's been a bugaboo of his. It's still loose, and it's picked up by the Razorbacks. Miraculously, Peyton Hillis emerges out of the crowd with the ball. Emmanuel Cook made the hit on McFadden, who fumbled it.
Yeah, Mark, we're going to take a look at it. Emmanuel Cook is going to have a big lick right there. That ball comes out. Now the question is, did South Carolina recover it, and should it be blown dead? It was not. The whistle did not blow. Hillis comes in and picks that ball up. But you have to wonder right there. We're looking at it in slow motion, Mark. But if I'm South Carolina right now, I would want that reviewed.
It looked like a rugby scrum, the way the ball came squirting out of there. Here's Felix Jones going to lose some yards here. Back to the 40-yard line. Good pressure by Eric Norwood up front. Norwood has been one of the more intransigent and stout players, immovable up front there for the defensive line.
Mark, I will say this cool weather tonight, there is some energy on this football field. But let's go back and look. You mentioned a bugaboo for McFadden has been protecting the football, but I mean Emmanuel Cook now, that is a lick. And if the whistle never blew, Mark, that's a great job by the Southeastern Conference officiating crew to let that play live.
That would have been a good call because the official was there looking for the ball, and it had already squirted out.
Well, at some point, if the whistle never blew, then the play continues on. The whistle never blew.
And Arkansas ended up picking up about 25 yards on the play. Right now back at the 40-yard line. Felix Jones in a tailback. Jones on the carry, cutting it back, and Jones on the loose. Jones on the move. Turbo time. Touchdown.
And Mark, Emmanuel Cook had a great hit on McFadden, but you're going to watch him right here. He is going to miss a tackle. And then Felix Jones shows the explosiveness in the open field.
Jones came into the game averaging 9 yards, a gaudy 9 yards per carry, and that was his 9th rushing touchdown of the season. They should just call him Smiley because he is always cheesing and gave his teammates a reason to smile with that play. Back after this. Well, if Darren McFadden is 1, Bob, this is 1A. And what makes him so special? Felix Jones.
Explosiveness. I mean, a kid out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, was not recruited by Oklahoma, but I promise you that was a major mistake. Mark, this kid is a first-round draft choice right now. He is an explosive football player and never stops smiling.
Yeah. From the 2-yard line, it's Culliver. And Culliver tripped up nicely and falls short just to the 20. Let's go to Stan Verrett for a SportsCenter in-game update.
All right, guys, let's check in on the Big 12 action tonight. Texas A&M taking on number 6 Oklahoma. It's Sam Bradford to Jermaine Gresham, and the Sooners strike for a 7-0 first quarter winding down. And a couple of all-purpose quarterbacks doing their thing. Dennis Dixon closing in on 200 total yards, and Chase Daniel already up over 300 total yards.
Well, nothing is taken for granted this year in college football. You look at all the top-ranked teams that have gotten high, struggling, and then getting knocked off, especially that number 2 hole. Ohio State surviving today against Wisconsin. Here's Blake Mitchell dumping it off complete. And a first down picked up by Mo Brown. Nice catch and run to pick up 12 yards. And Bob, we talked about it during the break. If you're South Carolina and you fall behind, what do you do? But first, Felix Jones.
Yeah, let's take a look at this Felix Jones run again. I mean, this guy would be the featured back anywhere else in the country. I mean, that's Emmanuel Cook. He runs through that. And right there in the open field, this is a great football player right here. And it helps that 1-2 punch of keeping either McFadden or Jones fresh now coming in the game.
Well, Jones says going against McFadden and playing with him every day in practice makes you work harder. Little out and up pattern, and had Cook open, and it was underthrown, incomplete at the 45-yard line. Jared Cook, the intended receiver, and Michael Grant with good closing speed to knock that away.
And I'll tell you one thing, Mark. South Carolina better find number 96, Malcolm Shepard, the left defensive end, and keep a running back in to try to block him. Watch Malcolm Shepard right here. That is an unbelievable spin move. And Justin Sorensen at 6'7", 325 pounds, out of Vancouver, British Columbia, has his hands full. They didn't grow him like that in British Columbia. I'm talking about Malcolm Shepard.
Well, it's a bigger field, you know. It's tougher up there in Canada. 4 minutes to go. 2nd and 10 here. First quarter. Pass incomplete at the 47-yard line. He was looking for McKinley, working against Love. Now, Bob started to ask you the question, what do you do if you're South Carolina and you start falling behind by a little bit? You don't have that big play explosiveness in your offense.
Well, Mark, I think that's a reality, and I think that's a great point. Now, last week they fell behind 21-0 at halftime against Tennessee. They came back in the second half, but they are a draw, screen, dinkum kind of team because they can't throw the ball down the field because of pass protection. So it gets more and more difficult the farther you fall behind if you're South Carolina.
Hey, Bob, Mitchell has missed 5 of his last 6 pass attempts under some heat and almost had it picked off at the 32-yard line into and out of the arms of Marcus Harrison. Harrison probably couldn't believe it hit him right in the hands. He seemed a little bit stunned and startled.
Well, he was stunned and startled because number 96, Malcolm Shepard, Mark, again just beats everybody off the snap count. An amazing story about Malcolm Shepard, can only hear out of one ear. But I promise you that ear that's working, it does a heck of a job because he jumps that ball now.
Gets him to the quarterback, that's for sure. Suckup with the punt. A high one which drives all the way down to the 20-yard line. That's Norton on the punt return. He's brought down at the 25-yard line. You talk about great running back tandems, and this one certainly counts as one of them in the nation. Talking about McFadden and Felix Jones averaging 232 yards per game between them. Savage and Hunter, we saw those guys earlier this year at Oklahoma State. Minor and Hart at Michigan. Well, Hart's been nicked up a little bit of late. Edelman and Jarvis at Kent State, and one in action right now, Dennis Dixon and Stewart. Oregon playing against Arizona State. This is Jones. Well, actually, that was Hillis, the fullback.
Let's go back to that point of all the tandems in the country. There's only one of them doing it in the SEC. And these two guys are 1 and 2 in the Southeastern Conference in rushing on the same team. I mean, I have respect for all the conferences around the country, but if you can line up and run the ball in this league, that's worth something now. That gives them a little asterisk on top of that chart.
Well, McFadden put the ball on the ground. A slight blemish on his potential Heisman resume a little bit earlier in the first quarter. On the end around, this is Jones, and Jones has some real estate ahead of him. Felix Jones telling everyone to look at his shoe bottoms. Touchdown, Razorbacks. 72 yards of lightning. Felix Jones.
Mark, and how about the misdirection? Watch Felix Jones right here on the reverse action. A lot of misdirection in the backfield right here. And he gets a block by Hillis right there. The fullback takes him to the ground.
Bob, nobody's going to catch him at that point.
Mark, that was a great block by Hillis now.
Peyton Hillis, a guy that does so many different things offensively for Arkansas, and that underscores the point. There's a very talented offensive line and a bunch of guys blocking in front of Jones and McFadden. As Arkansas pulls ahead 21-3 with 2:52 to go here in the first quarter. They have jumped all over the Gamecocks.
How about that? 2-play drive.
Can you call that a drive?
Wow. But Mark, are they explosive now?
Stacey Dales, you spent a little time with Felix Jones, didn't you, earlier this week?
I did yesterday, Mark. What a pleasure. He does have that big smile all the time. And Bob, you mentioned the NFL and possible first-round draft pick, and I spoke to him about that yesterday. I said, what's the likelihood of you going to the NFL this year? And a lot of people in the country don't even know about this guy. And he said, well, I've definitely thought of it very humbly. I've definitely thought about it, Stacey, but the prognosticators picked me in the first round. There is a good chance that he might go. And guys, head coach Houston Nutt told us yesterday that if he is a first-round, potentially draft choice, he probably should go on to the NFL. But wow, Felix Jones, after those 2 runs, those 2 touchdowns, guys, this got to be an NFL first-round draft pick, Mark.
You would think.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, Stacey, this guy has fresh legs. I mean, Darren McFadden comes in with 188 carries. Felix Jones only 98. He's got a bunch of carries in him at the next level. It's helped him that Darren McFadden's been here at Arkansas.
On the kickoff return, the Gamecocks going to try and get some semblance of field position. And Culliver takes it out to the 27-yard line. Back to Stan Verrett, the Sports Center in-game update.
All right, Mark, the #3 team in the country proving to be anything but intransigent tonight. LSU went with a hard count on 4th and inches. They took a procedure penalty and then punted it to Javier Arenas, and he took it to the house, 62 yards for the touchdown, and Bama up 7 right now.
Stan playing a little word game with
Yeah, get that Mark Jones vocabulary book out now.
I'd like to be Felix Jones right now. The last 2 times he's touched the ball, he's got 2 touchdowns, total 112 yards. And the question now looms and begs, can Corey Boyd and the Gamecock offense counter? Boyd with a nice carry, picking up about 6. A 6'1" senior out of Orange, New Jersey, coming off a big week last week. And Felix Jones resting his engines until the next offensive possession for the Razorbacks.
Mark, that was a great tackle by Matt Hewitt, who was a linebacker last year, number 31 for Arkansas, now a safety and their #1 tackler. But South Carolina has to keep Corey Boyd in this game and run the football.
He's their stud in the backfield. He got 6 on that last play. Approaching 2 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Little trickery, and this is McKinley on the end around, eluding a couple of would-be tacklers all the way out to the 36-yard line. Got 4 on the play right at that first down line and marker. So there we see a little bit of the Steve Spurrier trickery.
Well, Mark, South Carolina very fortunate this wasn't a fumble. I mean, Corey Boyd just flips it with his left hand. Fortunate that wasn't a big-time negative play.
That was kind of ugly coming out of there, Bob. And they got the first down at the 36-yard line. There's Chris Smelly on the sidelines. He started last week at quarterback against Tennessee. Had been the starter for the last 5 weeks in a row, in fact.
Well, there's not much Blake Mitchell can do about slowing Felix Jones down now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't go to the bullpen too quick.
Not on his shoulders. Boyd again out to the 38-yard line. Corey Boyd, by the way, the 2nd leading returning rusher in the SEC this year, behind Darren McFadden.
Mark, you look at this South Carolina offense, you know, they gave up 27 sacks coming into this game. They also turned the ball over 22 times. And what happens, I mean, that Arkansas defense, it's going to be a feeding frenzy, that defensive front rushing the passer. So they have to stay within the framework of their offense, run draws, run screens, and try to slow that defensive line down a little bit.
Yeah, Bob, especially Malcolm Shepard having a field day at the defensive end spot. This pass complete. And finally, a little bit of room for LaCourne. LaCourne has been hot of late. Takes this one down to the 38-yard line. He's got 8 catches in the last 3 games coming into this one and picks up 24 on that play.
Yeah, Mark, a big missed tackle out there by Michael Grant on the freshman in the open field. I mean, good job of just getting the football out, make the corner, Michael Grant make a play in the open field. Good move by the true freshman, LaCourne.
And a bunch of receivers get some reps for South Carolina this year. Outside of McKinley, nobody can really come up with a big play yet. Under a minute to go here in the first quarter. Mitchell looking for the little receiver screen, and it's complete down to the 39-yard line. McKinley making the catch. But that thing imploded before it ever got a chance to develop, it seemed, Bob.
Well, Mark, you're right. And this Arkansas defense is inspired. Reggie Herring, I know when you go against an offensive coordinator, offensive head coach like Steve Spurrier, how much that motivates a defensive coordinator. This guy right here doesn't need much motivation anytime because he has about as much fire as any guy I've been around. But it's still a big deal to play against Steve Spurrier.
A huge challenge week to week for the opposing defensive coordinator. Steve Spurrier is still very much an esteemed offensive genius, quote unquote. Very unconventional ways when you look at some of the things that he's done throughout the years, both at Florida, at Duke, and now here at South Carolina.
Mark, he kind of calls plays by feel. I mean, he's looking at that chart right there in that game plan. I don't think he worries near much about all the computer reports and all the down and distance things that some coaches.
None of that trend analysis stuff.
No, I think he just has a great feel for calling plays.
Well, Reggie Herring, conversely, the defensive coordinator for Arkansas, says we haven't given up a lot of big TD plays of late. And actually, you go back to the Auburn game several games ago. It was a bit of a turning point for that defense. They lost the game, but they held Auburn to just 9 points offensively. Final score in that game was 9-7, and they felt that they made a big improvement in that game.
Was interrupted by rule. The clock will start on the snap.
Mark, this Arkansas defense now, young secondary coming into the season, but they are #1 in the NCAA in pass efficiency defense. They're able to play a lot of man-to-man coverage. They have those kind of athletes. Plus, they can rush the passer.
2nd down and 11. Little trips, stack formation out to the top of the screen. Mitchell under duress and dumps it off short of McKinley. 3rd and long coming up for the Gamecocks.
And Mark, you see the respect they have for number 96, Malcolm Shepard. That time they just rolled the pocket away from Malcolm Shepard, plus kept Corey Boyd, the running back, in to block him on the backside.
Well, Bob, you talked about the disability that he's turned into a positive. Troy State, the only other school that recruited and offered Malcolm Shepard a scholarship. You see it so many times in college football. One of the great parts of the game, kids get overlooked and use it as motivation. Subsequently become stars. A little movement on that offensive line for South Carolina. An all too popular refrain of late for the Gamecocks. That was Sorensen, number 78.
Before the snap, false start, number 78, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
What happens, Mark? Watch Malcolm Shepard right here. He's going to move early, but just the sight of him has big Justin Sorensen a little bit jumpy there, the right tackle.
You got Sorensen ready for that couch, huh?
I tell you
Sit
what.
down on the couch and talk to the sports psychologist.
Reggie Herring loves these 3rd and 16s now.
They've got to get all the way down to the 27-yard line for a 1st down. Mitchell given time this time and almost intercepted by the safety that came over to make the play. Leandre makes the play, and it's 4th and long coming up.
Yeah, Mark, you said it. Leandre coming off the hash mark. They played man underneath coverage, meaning they had DBs man-to-man on the wide receivers, and Leandre was the free safety sitting back there, and he had a freebie. And boy, this Arkansas defense has been great intercepting the ball. They have 15 interceptions, 9 in 2 games, but they missed one right there.
Suckup drills this one This is going to carry into the end zone. Now you don't try and get that inside the 10 or even the 20. I'm not sure. A 44-yard punt, but a net of just 24. Back with the second quarter right after this. Back for the second quarter, a look of concern etched across the countenance of South Carolina quarterback Blake Mitchell. His team down right now, 21-3. 1st and 10 for the Razorbacks on offense here. McFadden, the lone back. They have had a great amount of success on the ground tonight. That is their way, and especially Felix Jones, who's had a great night, Bob, on the edges especially.
Well, Mark, Arkansas with 195 yards rushing in the first quarter. And I mean, you let Felix Jones get out in the open field. There's that great block by Hillis on that play. You're not going to catch this guy. And the amazing thing, McFadden is faster than Felix Jones.
It's a frightening thought. There's McFadden with a nice spin move inside. Got down to the 25. Let's go back to Stan Fred in the studio.
All right, guys, let's check in on some of the top-ranked teams of the BCS. Florida State at #2, Boston College. It's wet and rainy there. Matt Ryan picked off by Jamie Robinson, who got a foot down out of bounds. No score in this one. What about Oregon and Arizona State? John Stewart, he'd been quiet up to this point, but he gets in for the touchdown. And Oregon up 28-16 right now on ASU.
All right, standing Michael Smith with a nice run to get the Arkansas first down. Picked up 10 on the play. They got to deal with Smith, Bob, when Jones or McFadden isn't in the ballgame. And Smith has had some brilliant moments this year.
Well, he has. And one thing when you're at Arkansas, I mean, you cherish each one of those carries. If you're a running back, man, what a talented, really trio of running backs.
Hand it off to the fullback. That's Peyton Hillis, a guy that does so many different things for them as an H-back, a receiver, has maybe the best set of hands on the team, was returning punts earlier this year, in fact.
Mark, you know, you come into this game, you know, Arkansas with great statistics. I mean, #1 in the SEC in total offense, rush offense, scoring offense. But you're a little bit skeptical because they had 713 yards against North Texas and 66 points, 58 points against Florida International. What everybody wanted to see, could they do it against a top SEC defense like South Carolina? They're doing it so far.
Yeah, that time McFadden stopped up by Hall on the play. Nobody can question the level of competition tonight against South Carolina's defense. Arkansas 3rd nationally in rushing yards behind Navy and West Virginia. And Bob, got to ask you, what about Navy today?
Mark, that's unbelievable. Huh? I mean, you have to have been and spent time at Notre Dame to understand what a huge, huge win that is for Navy after 43 years.
That's a long time between drinks of water, and here is, that's Hillis on the screen pass, sets up a 4th down coming up, and some of the big storylines in college football. Navy snapping that long, insidious losing streak against Notre Dame. #8 Kansas still rolling along in the Big 12 North, and Cincinnati defeats South Florida. What a huge fall, Bob, for South Florida.
How about that? And what we ought to make a bet on? Will Kansas's basketball team score more than 76 on Nebraska's basketball team?
Let me hit Bill Self on my speed dial and ask him that. That's a good question. Davis, and a hit immediately back at the 23-yard line on Captain Munnerlyn. It'll be South Carolina on offense, trying to get on track on offense when we return. Big day in the SEC, and a big season once again in arguably America's strongest college football conference. 8 teams already bowl eligible, with the possibility, Bob, of 11 becoming so.
It's amazing, Mark, and you know bowls will love to have those bottom SEC teams because they will bring a lot of fans. So that could potentially rob some others of bowl opportunities around the country.
That would be an argument that goes on forever in college football. Nice run into the boundary. This is Mike Davis getting his first carry of the game, a 5'9" junior that complements Boyd very well. Picked up 16 on the play, Bob.
Adrian Davis the right defensive end for Arkansas, was unblocked and had a shot right there to tackle Davis in the open field. But that's a tough assignment for a defensive end out there in space.
Outside of last week, the South Carolina offense has struggled quite a bit. They actually went a spell of 8 consecutive quarters between a couple of games where they hadn't scored a touchdown. Finally snapping that in the second quarter. It was actually third quarter last week. This pass complete to LaCorn, and LaCorn with a nice gain to the 47-yard line, and another Gamecock first down. He picks up 13 on the play.
Yeah, Mark, that was a little route designed for bump and run man coverage where the ball is underthrown right here. Nice little adjustment. Good communication between the quarterback, Blake Mitchell, and LaCorn. Keep in mind, this is a streaky South Carolina team, Mark. They can come back in this football game now.
Yeah, they came out of the locker room last week against Tennessee and put 21 quick points on the board in about 10 minutes. That was Davis again, inside the 45 and tackled by Weston Dacus, the middle linebacker. He picked up 3, but Dacus, one of 17 seniors for Arkansas, Bob, playing their final home game here in Fayetteville. As a head coach, how do you address the emotions of the seniors going into a game like this?
Well, Mark, I don't think you have to say much. You really don't. I mean, these guys like Dacus and Michael Grant, I mean, they've spent, in essence, a lifetime here in this program, so you don't have to say too much.
Second down and 8. The seniors letting their play do the talking so far. LaCorn with an outstanding bit of concentration to make the catch, and a first down at the 31. He got in behind Richardson on the coverage.
Yeah,
he picked up 13.
Same thing again, bump and run. Richardson tried to jam him at the line of scrimmage, but you can see how thick LaCorn is in the upper body. I mean, he's a strong, compact guy. Hard to come up there and jam a guy like that. He just bounced off Richardson.
LaCorn seemingly emerging now, Bob, as the complement to McKinley on the other side to balance out that receiving core for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, Mark, he started the last 4 games.
First down and 10. Davis breaks a tackle and another nice gain, and another first down to the 18-yard line. A missed tackle on the play by Kevin Woods, and Davis got 13 in that chunk.
Mark, you mentioned Kevin Woods is coming off the weak side. You're going to see number 3 right here comes unblocked. But Mike Davis, kind of the undersized running back for South Carolina, breaks the tackle.
And we have an injured player down to the field. That's actually Kevin Woods, the player we were talking about moments ago on the missed tackle. And while we wait for the results of that and the report on that, let's check in with Stan Verrett for the Sports Center in-game update.
All right, Mark, LSU and Alabama, 4th and 4 for the Tigers. You know Les Miles is going for it. Matt Flynn, 3 picks in the game, but this is his 3rd touchdown pass. Tigers tie it up. They just recovered a fumble deep in Alabama territory and trying to go in for a potential game winner now.
Wow. Is it amazing how many coaches are going for it on 4th down? Notre Dame today, I think, went for it 8 times, Mark, on 4th down in that football game. Navy went through for it every 4th down.
And a questionable call, perhaps, something that might be debated. Charlie Wise electing not to try and kick a field goal near the end of that game in that Notre Dame game. Spurrier thinking about a million things right now, but most importantly, trying to get his offense into the end zone. Corey Boyd in the backfield. He dots the I. First down and 10. And off to Boyd with nowhere to go. He's stopped up at the 20-yard line by Ernest Mitchell. Mitchell, Bob, we didn't get a look at him earlier this year when we called the Kentucky game. He was serving a 1-game suspension for an altercation he had in the previous game against Alabama. One of the many close calls that this Arkansas team has had this year. And this is a team, remember, that last year won the SEC West.
Mark, it is a team also that we were here for the Kentucky game, Arkansas and Kentucky. Arkansas had a big lead similar to this in the first half and then let it slip away.
Second down and 12 for Blake Mitchell. Looking into the end zone. Caught. And it's just shy of the end zone at the, well, 6 inches out, maybe a foot out, as McKinley made the catch working against Norton. He picked up 18, and it's 1st and goal for Steve Spurrier's crew.
Mark, man-to-man coverage, Jarrell Norton on McKinley. Watch this throw right here. Now, he's wide open, but that is a great throw. Would Blake Mitchell drive you crazy? I mean, he can make all the throws, but then every once in a while he disappears on you.
And a touchdown scored as Mitchell that time, Bob, kept it himself to score it. And South Carolina with his first touchdown of the game. Blake Mitchell with his second rushing touchdown of the season and the fourth of his career, leaving nothing to chance.
Mark, I think his knee dropped down before he crossed the plane of that goal line. I think they waved that off.
Wow, they called one of the officials signal touchdown.
But I think it was the right call to reverse that, Mark.
Am I seeing things? We did see an official signal touchdown. All right, here we go again. Second and goal. On the toss, Davis didn't get in. Got back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be third down and goal to go.
Mark, here's what you were talking about on this last play. Right there, his knee is down. And there's your signal. Okay. There is credibility for Mark Jones right there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But I do think it was the right call. Curious that Corey Boyd is not in this football game right now for South Carolina.
He's the hammer guy with some speed. 10th play of the drive. Mitchell keeps it himself, leaving no doubt this time. Keep those hands up, Mr. Official. Hands don't fail you now.
Huge drive for South Carolina, Mark.
Yeah, nice answer. A very methodical drive and a key pass from Mitchell to McKinley to put the ball within striking distance as Mitchell once again with his second rushing touchdown of the season and the fourth of his career.
Mark, you can see that corner route by South Carolina is a big factor, big play tonight for them. They've had it 3 times in this game open.
Extra point is good. The margin now cut to 11 points. A year ago against this Arkansas team, Blake Mitchell got his season and his career back on track. Maybe another resurrection story in the making tonight.
IBM presents the 25 greatest players ever. Number 13, Glenn Davis. A natural-born sprinter, this speedy back guided his team to 3 straight undefeated seasons. His 1945 average of 11.5 yards per carry and career average of 8.3 are records which remain unbroken. IBM, getting it done.
You know, Bob, I'm still trying to get over the fact that Jim Brown was number like 86 on the list. I'm sorry.
You're saying it's become a credibility issue?
Yeah. Well, Steve Spurrier's team offensively getting a little credibility back on that last drive, and Blake Mitchell on the same wavelength and frequency with his receivers, especially McKinley, to set up that touchdown.
And Mark,
down to the 1.
You see McKinley over there drinking that Gatorade. He's a guy that's cramped up, as did several players last week in Knoxville. So keep that guy hydrated now.
Felix Jones has had a huge night already, and Felix Jones has been very elusive. A great kickoff return all the way out near midfield. As we go to Stan Verrett for the SportsCenter in-game update. Stan, tell us what's up with those Bayou Bengals.
All right, Mark, 34 apiece, 3rd and 12 for Alabama. LSU defense coordinator Bo Pelini brought everybody. Chad Jones got there. Curtis Taylor recovered John Parker Wilson's fumble, and then Jacob Hester punches it in, and the Tigers up right now. Alabama with 4th down right now.
Wow. Just protect that football right there for Alabama, right? Cough that up.
Huge turnaround. Under 8 minutes to go here in the first half. Darren McFadden in the backfield. A play fake. Hillis hangs on to it. Had to reach behind him to make the catch and picked up about 7 on the play. And let's go downstairs to Stacy for a report on Woods.
Yeah, Mark, just an injury update. I just spoke with Arkansas team officials, and basically he has a subluxed left shoulder, which means he tweaked it. It feels unstable. It's somewhat loose, so it's uncertain as to whether or not he will return in this game. But this could be important, guys. He's the starter, and South Carolina definitely heating up offensively.
Yeah, he's one of the 17 seniors playing their final home game here. McFadden tripped up on the play, might have been able to get a few more yards, fell down at around the 35-yard line. Picked up 9 on the play. Boy, when he picks up 9, it almost looks routine. It is.
Well, he does, Mark. And I'll tell you, the guy, 22, Peyton Hillis, gets a block. He comes through right there. He gets a little late block But Peyton Hillis is a guy that doesn't get as much attention. This guy potentially a first-round draft choice as a fullback. Excellent hands, great blocker, actually returned punts earlier in the season.
Here they are in the Wild Hog formation. Casey Dick, and wide open downfield. Oh, it's got 6 on it. Touchdown. Lucas Miller.
Mark, you knew there was another phase to this. Watch Lucas Miller. I believe he's right here. He's going to kind of hide and run downfield, but you get the reverse action to Casey Dick, and he throws the football down the field. Another element right there.
Wow.
That's a great play design, isn't it?
What about that? Quarterback ended up with it after all, after a couple of touches. Extra point good, Arkansas. Hey, you thought that it was all about Steve Spurrier when it comes to trickery.
Yeah, great point. Houston Nutt took that personal, Mark.
And the Pigs really rolling right now. Back after this. The Arkansas Razorbacks leading by 18 points with 6:52 to go under the lights here at Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Lucas Miller with a touchdown reception a few moments ago. A 35-yarder for him, a career long in the 3rd of the season.
He's having some fun. Hey, there's our guy, Casey Dick, smiling. Yeah. Mark, that's the first time we've seen him smile all season. Everybody feeling good now.
The kickoff return, South Carolina looking for good starting field position, and it's going to start off at about the 33. That's where Chris Culliver brings it out to. Well, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series is on ABC with battling for the Cup. Jeff Gordon clinging to a 9-point lead on Jimmy Johnson. Not the Arkansas Jimmy Johnson. Heading to Texas Motor Speedway, where he's never won. And Jimmy Johnson is looking for his 3rd consecutive win. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern with NASCAR Countdown. Well, speed on the track and speed on the field tonight. Casey Dick using his arm well-run play for that touchdown.
And you know, this guy's been under duress because a lot of these Arkansas fans felt like he won this job actually by default, because Mitch Mustain, everybody's homegrown favorite, left the program last year and transferred to USC.
Mo Brown couldn't hang on to it at the 30-yard line, defended by Matero Richardson. And Bob, back to what you were talking about. Gus Malzahn, a local product here with great high school recruits, brought his crew here to Arkansas a couple of years ago, left the program when he felt that it wasn't the right fit for him, and it became a very controversial issue during the offseason. Several local players that he brought with him also transferred, including Mitch Mustain to USC.
Yeah, Mark, you're right, and they called him the Springdale Five. We saw Houston Nutt. It was a very, very tough offseason for Houston Nutt in this program.
6.5 minutes to go in the first half. Quick 3-step drop. That pass complete for the first down. At the 44-yard line, that was LaCorn making the grab. And boy, the freshman showing out well tonight, working against Michael Grant.
Well, Mark, that's an NFL-style play where you get bump and run coverage. You see Grant in bump and run. Now the ball's over, underthrown. But if you're the DB, it's tough because you have to stay on top of the receiver because he may run by you. That takes a lot of communication, a lot of work right there. Because you start biting on the underthrown a little bit, if you're Michael Grant, he'll run by you.
That's battle of speed on the side there, on the outside. And here's Corey Boyd, a combination of speed and strength with a first down out to the 40-yard line. Corey Boyd at some point is going to play a prominent role for South Carolina if they're going to be successful tonight. He picked up 16.
Mark, he gets a great block by Meredith, number 77 right here, that pulls in the hole on this little draw kind of play. Watch Big Meredith right there. Gets an excellent kickoff block.
Mike Davis now in the ball game, spelling Corey Boyd, giving him a breather. Davis hangs on to it and knocked out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. He took a hit from Weston Dacus. You know, Weston Dacus, one of those 17 seniors playing their final home game, has made everyone aware who's willing to listen that He's a senior, and he's got 16 others like him, and he doesn't want to go out like a chump, in his own words, on the last home game here in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
And Mark, he was a running back in high school. He is not that big now. He is not 6'2", 230. But they actually had to sit him down in practice this week. He's had some headaches, different things. They sat him down and wanted him rested for this football game tonight.
His sacrifice, part of the thematic words that Houston Nutt delivered to his team prior to the game. Davis brought down after a gain of about 2 on the play. Back to Stan in the studio.
All right, Mark, here's how it ended in Tuscaloosa. LSU and Alabama, 4th and 10. Bama down 7. John Parker Wilson going to Keith Brown, but Craig Stelz with a big hit. And as they say on the Bayou, laissez les bon temps rouler. The good times continue to roll for LSU.
Stan dropping a little French on
You don't think Stan's rooting for anyone. Stan wouldn't root, would he?
like red beans and rice.
Can't pull for the Bayou Tigers just because you were raised down there, can you?
That's close enough. He's got rights. Boyd got the first down. Corey Boyd, he has been a central cog for everything they do well offensively this year. Corey Boyd from Orange, New Jersey.
And Mark, I love Corey Boyd. I mean, he plays hard now. See him right there, just a nice little tough inside run. I think this guy will be an NFL player. We mentioned 160 yards last week against Tennessee. You know, he has 29 catches on the season. Amazingly, a couple weeks ago against Vanderbilt, Mark, only 5 carries in that football game.
They only scored 6 points in that game. Mitchell sacked. Back at the 37-yard line by Ernest Mitchell. That's the 18th sack this season for the Arkansas defense.
Yeah, Mark, you mentioned big Ernest Mitchell, number 90. He's right here. He's just going to overpower the guard right here. Wow. He just ran over the top of Seaver Brown, the freshman out of Clearwater, Florida.
He came out of nowhere last year to make an impact, and doing the same on that play. Reggie Harrington is that he was concerned about his front four being able to get pressure on the quarterback. They've done a nice job tonight. Mitchell underneath, complete to Boyd, a good receiver as well. Boyd is stopped up about 2 yards shy of the first down, but there's a flag down at the 22-yard line. Let's wait and see if it's going to stand or not. A 16-yard pickup on the play.
Kind of an odd flag right there, Mark, that came out of nowhere. But you see the versatility of Corey Boyd.
He has undergone a huge transformation from his roots in Orange, New Jersey. Suspended for the 05 season.
Number 84, offense. 15-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's going to go against Cook. An example of the Gamecocks imploding on offense.
Keep in mind, you are not allowed to block downfield if the ball is thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. But that was kind of a strange call right there. You don't see that called very often.
I'll tell you what, Jared Cook is going to understand the rule after this explanation by the head coach.
Yeah, and the other rule he's going to learn, don't have an opinion right now, Jared. You have no opinion, just stand there and take it.
Who do you think won that argument?
Exactly. That's not the time to be voicing your thought process on what just happened.
Mitchell working out of the shotgun this time. Incomplete, no flag on the play at the 45, broken up nicely by Jamar Love.
Mark, you mentioned several times in this game the penalties. The penalties on South Carolina this season. You know, they've had 3 roughing the punter penalties in inopportune times. This is a heavily penalized team. And when you combine that with not a lot of firepower, tough to win.
Spurrier was saying, hey, I was telling our guys, do you think New England would ever rough the punter? Do you think it's part of their game plan and playbook like it is ours? Letting his guys have it. Corey Boyd on the run. Getting back some of that yardage out to the 40-yard line. It'll be 4th down coming up for South Carolina. Picked up 9 on the play.
Mark, I think you have to go ahead and punt this football right now if you're South Carolina.
Down by 18 points with 3:20 to go here in the first half.
And it's 4th down and 17, even though they're in Arkansas territory.
Ryan Suckup comes in. He's going to set up on the 47-yard line. His 4th punt of the night. Reggie Bush is standing on his own 10 for Arkansas. Watches it bounce over his head. And South Carolina able to down this one inside the 5 as we go back to Stan Verrett. Stan, I know you're a Bayou guy. What about some oxtail after a big win like that down at LSU, huh?
No oxtail down on the Bayou, man. Hey, Navy held on a 2-point conversion try by Notre Dame in the 3rd overtime to beat the Irish 46-44. That snapped a 43-game losing streak to the Irish. And Kansas beat Nebraska 76-39, the most points Nebraska's ever given up in the history of their program. More on SportsCenter at 11 Eastern over on ESPN. It's a big pot of gumbo, Mark Jones, after a win like that.
Okay. Little gumbo chaser with some pig's feet, man. That's the way to go out. Under 3 minutes to go. This is the worst starting field position of the night for this Razorback offense. Handed off to McFadden, who's always good to improve that field position. And he says if I had just gotten by that one guy, I might have been lights out. He picked up 7 instead.
You are right. I mean, every time these guys touch the football, Mark, you hold your breath. Watch right here. You're going to see Marvin Sapp just trips him up right there, or it was off to see how good Munnerlyn was in the open field right there.
I'll put my money on McFadden if it's a foot race. Under 2.5 minutes to go. The Heisman Trophy candidate looking to put up some numbers tonight. But in the big picture, looking to get his team bowl eligible with a 6th victory. McFadden again able to run it well between the tackles. Stopped up about 2 yards shy of the 1st down. And for more on McFadden, let's go down to Stacy.
Well, Mark, as good as McFadden is, we sat in meetings with him yesterday, and I specifically asked him, we've seen a fumble already today, I specifically asked him yesterday, where do you need to get better in going to that next level? And he said, well, I got to avoid simple mistakes. I have to improve the technique and really the ball security, knowing more and more attention's coming my way. But it's a good thing, guys, he is a very laid back, he doesn't take himself too seriously, very laid back personality, guys.
Yeah, great point, Stacy, as here he is again on the carry out of the Wild Hog offense. McFadden, he may not take himself seriously, but the defense better take him seriously out near the 40-yard line. A 25-yard pickup for Fred Flintstone. I mean, Darren McFadden. Tell you more about that later.
He's going to get a good block out here in the open field by 88. Lucas Miller right there. But I'll tell you what, Stacy was talking about what a great kid he is. He is legitimately a great kid. You sit around with him like we did yesterday, you truly appreciate just how humble and fun-loving he is.
But when your best player doesn't take himself too seriously and doesn't give you the big-time prima donna thing, it really helps out the entire team. And this is Felix Jones. Well, I called him Fred Flintstone. It's all about the costumes here in the wake of Halloween. This is what he wore last year for Halloween. He wasn't clowning around on the field a few moments ago, but that's a heck of a clown now. He almost looks like Homie the Clown from In Living Color a few years ago.
Well, he said next year, though, and let's face it, he's going to go to the NFL.
He's going to be dressed as an NFL millionaire.
But he's not going to do the Clinton Portis deal like Clinton Portis did every week with the Redskins.
Well, they had a vote online here where the students at Arkansas could vote for Jones and McFadden's respective costumes, and they came up with Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble. I'll take any one of those guys in my backfield. They wore the costumes to class.
Wait a second now. Did they disrupt that class? It looks like some serious students sitting in here wanting to be educated.
It was part of history.
I think they disrupted things.
That was a history class. They're learning about bedrock.
Look at these two guys, huh?
Yeah, they look real serious. They got a self-esteem problem.
I mean, Felix just kind of follows along, though. I mean, it's all McFadden's deal. I mean, Felix is just along for the ride.
I tell you what, Bob Davie, next year I think I might go out trick-or-treating with my son Shay and go dressed as Darren McFadden or Felix Jones. Arkansas tonight doing a nice job on the ground. Look at those respective numbers.
351 total yards of offense in 2 quarters right now for Arkansas.
265 of that coming on the ground. Wild Hog formation with McFadden lining up in the shotgun. Big things happen out of this formation. but maybe not on this play. McFadden brought down for a loss of about 3. Here's what's transpired tonight out of the Wild Hog formation.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. A little quarterback counter play that a lot of people are running. Right there, he fumbled the football, but Emmanuel Cook, a great lick. Here's their little reverse pass to Lucas Miller. Anytime you have that much misdirection, Mark, and let's face it, you have to commit to stopping the run. Just like when a wishbone team runs play-action pass, you're normally wide open. Now, I question a little bit with 44 seconds left in the half, the Wild Hog. Okay. But then again, I've seen McFadden take it to the house.
we learned a lesson in that Kentucky game.
We did.
We're kind of questioning the the relevance and how good it would be for them to maybe keep it a little bit more simple. Then on the next play, they took it for a touchdown. Jones did.
And you see McFadden takes that one glove off when he's going to be a quarterback in the Wild Hog. There's the left glove on, the right one off.
Here's Felix Jones. We told you about Felix Jones, right? Heisman Trophy candidate? Why not?
Why throw the football? He gets an excellent block by the left guard, 66. Watch right here. That's my guy now. Mitch Petrus, who was a fullback. Remember we sat and watched tape yesterday? Yeah. He pulls as fluidly as any offensive lineman I've seen in the country.
Guy at about 300 pounds, Bob, moving pretty nimbly on his feet. Jones with nowhere to go. Brought down for a loss of about 3 on the play.
Arkansas with a timeout here.
They're going to try and get some points on the board still, Bob? What do you think?
Mark, call timeout. Go for it. You have momentum on your side.
The fans here raining boos, a chorus of boos down on the Arkansas sideline in Houston Nutt. And frankly, it doesn't take much for these fans to get a little bit edgy.
Mark, I do not understand that at all. Then you call timeout with 8 seconds left to take a shot. I don't understand it because of all the momentum on the side of Arkansas.
Hey, Bob, Monday Night Football is on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern. Ray Lewis and the Ravens defense against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Coverage beginning at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown. The respective quarterbacks in this matchup. Pittsburgh bouncing back this year.
I saw Mike Tirico doing NBA, I think, in the middle of the week. You told me you were the hardest working man in the ABC, ESPN family. I'm not sure about that.
You can catch me on any platform, man. You know, radio, internet, studio.
Did I not see Tirico doing NBA though, like Wednesday night?
Yep. Wednesday night NBA and Friday coverage. Mark starting up in earnest on the network.
I know right now it probably doesn't matter because it's an 18-point game, but I do not understand that.
You would have done what?
I would have tried to score more points.
A pass incomplete by Casey Dick.
I mean, you know, they ran the football on the play before on first down to Felix Jones. Then they let the clock run all the way down to 8 seconds before they called their timeout. I don't really understand it.
Right now on the extreme fringes of field goal range for Tejada, and he's not even on the field right now.
I just think you have so much momentum on your side. There's no fear. Keep attacking them right here.
Now, this is a team, Bob, and we talked about it several times, that can hit the home run out of the running game. They don't have to throw it up top. And here's what I'm talking about. McFadden brought down inside the 25, and that's going to be the last play of the first half. And a good, prolific first half for McFadden and Felix Jones out of the backfield. Steve Spurrier left with some questions for his defense in the locker room at halftime. And let's go downstairs to Stacey Dale. Stacey?
Coach Nutt, why did you opt to slow the pace slightly here towards the end of the half?
Got a 28-10 lead. We got a lot of football left. I just don't want to turn one over right now. Monk's not full speed. So, hey, I'll take that 18-point lead going in the half.
What's your biggest area of concern for South Carolina creeping back in?
You know how they can score points, especially in the second half. So we got to do a great job. Long game.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Mark.
All right, thanks a lot, Stacey. So there's your answer as to the time management question by Houston Nutt. Jones still smiling as we go back to Stan Verrett and Robert Smith for the Yamaha halftime report. Guys. Back at Frank Broyles Field in Reynolds Razorback Stadium. 28-10 at the break. Arkansas leading South Carolina. The Razorbacks trying to become bowl eligible with the win. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie. Stacey Dale's down in the field. And Bob, when you look at the two running backs we talked about at the top of the show, Felix Jones, a great first half. He told us yesterday, you know what, with McFadden's attention and spotlight, I wouldn't want to be like him, but he certainly ran like him in the first half.
I mean, different personalities. But I think this Arkansas football team shocked South Carolina. I just think the speed of McFadden, Felix Jones, shocked them early in this game. I mean, 240 yards rushing between the two of them. Arkansas, Mark, with 378 yards in the first half. Really had another opportunity at the end of the first half to maybe go in and score more points. Pulled off a little bit and played conservative. But I think South Carolina took an early punch by this Arkansas team. Let's see if they can recover here in the second half.
Well, they had a good second half last week and coming down from a 21-point deficit against Tennessee. And that's Culver stopped up just beyond the 25-yard line. Here's a look at the running backs and the work they did in the first half. McFadden always good to give the hit instead of take one.
And Mark, you're right. I mean, they're so physical, these two backs, that they wear you down as the game goes on. So really difficult for South Carolina here because it's not like it's one running back that rushed for 292 yards. It's three running backs that did.
Yeah, Felix Jones with a 75-yard touchdown run and a 40-yard touchdown run for both in the first half. See if Corey Boyd of the Gamecocks can make a little noise from the tailback position. Here he is on the first carry of the third quarter, and Boyd delivering a blow and picking up the first down. Hey, at the break, Stacey Dale spoke with Steve Spurrier about the second half.
Coach Spurrier, what was your most specific message down 18 to your guys?
Well, we just got hammered, and hopefully we can try to hammer them a little bit. We were down more than this last week, so maybe we can come back. We're going to try.
Coach, how do you get a handle on McFadden and Felix Jones?
Well, you try to not get blocked and try to, we stopped them a few times, but not very much.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Coach Spurrier has a way of saying something, and it automatically kind of makes you read into what he's really trying to say. You know, whether you're a player, whether you're a member of the media.
Mark, he simplifies things. When you ask him how are you going to stop Felix Jones and Darren McFadden, he says, well, we're just going to try to keep from being blocked. But yeah, I mean, this guy is great for college football. I mean, you could just put this camera on him the whole game and watch those facial expressions. It's worth the price of admission.
He's smiling. He just hasn't told his face yet. We'll go on 2nd and 10 for the Gamecocks. And open, and once again the freshman making the catch. LaCorn got another South Carolina first down. Down to the 45-yard line. He picked up 16 on the play, and this is the same way they came out of the locker room on the first couple of plays last week.
Mark,
that near miss against Tennessee.
They're down 21-0 at the half last week in Knoxville. They had 355 yards in the second half of this football game. Now, keep in mind, Arkansas has 376 in the first half of this one to show you how prolific Arkansas has been now.
First down and 10 from the 45. Mitchell with a quick three-step drop. A little bit of contact and no flag thrown on the play. It's incomplete. Michael Grant defending against LaCorn, and there's a look at Mitchell's stats. 31 of 45, all coming in the second half. Add that to the fact that he had a great week, actually game last year against this Arkansas team, coming on once again in relief.
And again, the problem South Carolina will have, Mark, is pass protection if they just throw it every down. So they still have to run the ball, throw some quick screens. A little bit surprised that Kenny McKinley hasn't caught a couple screens tonight. Usually they love the wide receiver quick stuff.
See what they do here on 2nd and 10. They hand it off to Corey Boyd with a nice seam over the right side of that offensive line, and Boyd moving the pile a little bit. Coming up just a little bit short of the first down by about a yard at the 36. Corey Boyd picked up about 9 on the play. Talked about him coming from Orange, New Jersey, from the 108 projects in Orange. Saw his role model, his uncle, Willie Graves, die in his arms as a youngster, and has really overcome a lot of obstacles to get to where he is right now, just amongst other things, 3 hours short of graduating with his degree. A wonderful accomplishment. And here he is on the carry again, cuts it back to get the first down, and he delivered a hit, 2 on that carry. Boyd got 8.
He is so tough. He gets an excellent block up in the hole by the fullback, Leonard Stafford, number 39. But he is a tough physical back. And I'll tell you what, he's playing right now for a big payday in the NFL. I mean, he's playing at a different level late in this season. You see the good block up in the hole, and that's a physical back right there.
Boyd had a good week last week in that game against Tennessee, had 160 yards on 20 carries. Mitchell out of the shotgun, has time, into the end zone, a little bit of contact and no call. Incomplete. Defended well, intended for Mo Brown. Red Richardson defending. Matero Richardson, a.k.a. Red, to his teammates.
A lot of man-to-man coverage. I mean, if you're going to play corner at Arkansas, you better be able to play man-to-man coverage. You look at Reggie Herring right there, the defensive coordinator.
A little cooler tonight. It must be Reggie doesn't have his usual lather there on the sidelines.
Reggie will heat it up in a second now, Mark. Doesn't matter what the temperature is.
Mitchell and Cook got crossed up, and there's a flag thrown on the play as Freddie Fairchild was holding. Seemed like he had a bit of Cook's jersey on the play.
Yeah, Mark, that's going to be the call right there on number 44, Freddie Fairchild. Tough matchup. Reggie Herring told us yesterday, you remember that conversation about getting a linebacker man-to-man on Jared Cook, who is really a wide receiver.
Yeah. Holding, number 44, defense. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
First penalty of the game against the Razorbacks.
Mark, it's amazing how in that conversation yesterday, Reggie told us in passing situations he wanted to get a defensive back on Jared Cook. That time, though, he got locked up with the linebacker.
And that matchup for the Arkansas defense. First down and 10 for the Gamecocks. Inside the 20 at about the 18-yard line. Davis is the deep back dotting the aisle. And Davis gets the call down to the 15, actually short of the 15 at the 16-yard line. Picked up 2 on the play. Mike Davis missed spring ball after undergoing arthroscopic surgery on his knee, but back in kind.
Watch the fullback, Mark. Leonard Stafford goes in and chops. Watch this chop block. Boom! Right there. That's a great block on number 38, Forte, the linebacker.
Nice hand walk by Davis to pick up a couple of extra yards. Boyd back in the ball game now. Davis getting a breather. 3 receivers out to the top of your screen. Mitchell incomplete at the 15-yard line, into and out of the arms of Kenny McKinley. You won't see that happen often. Jamar Love might have had something to do with it there to break up the pass. It'll be 3rd down and 8 coming up for South Carolina.
You know, Steve Spurrier, Mark, has not had near the success offensively here at South Carolina than he did when he was at Florida.
What do you make of it? Why?
Well, I think the game has changed, quite honestly. You know, Steve Spurrier was way ahead of the curve when he was at Florida with all his no-back, empty, wide receiver reverses. Now everybody in the country is doing that stuff. So a little bit more of a standard style offense for South Carolina in comparison to what some other teams around the country are doing.
It's interesting. I never thought I would hear the word standard and Spurrier in the same sentence, but that's how it's kind of evolved.
Well, Mark,
here
when
in
you
South
really
Carolina.
look at it, there's not some exotic scheme going on right here. I mean, Steve Spurrier, little bit of a misnomer that he really wants to just throw the ball every down. You know, he had that tag in the NFL, but he really wants to run the football a little bit. He loves the draws. He loves the screens, but it's kind of behind scheme-wise compared to what some other people are doing around the country.
Well, he's got a pretty good resume nonetheless. Won the 1966 Heisman Trophy as a quarterback at Florida, was a first-round pick of the 49ers, later played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, spent 3 years taking Duke to the All-American Bowl in 1989, and then back at his alma mater as head coach. Spurrier won the 1996 national title. Next in the NFL as a head coach, he compiled a 12-20 record with Washington. And then back to the collegiate ranks on the sidelines with South Carolina.
You know, I think the best thing he does, he gets his teams to play with that bit of arrogance, that confidence that he has. That's the biggest thing he brings to the table.
3rd down and 8. Corey Boyd on the handoff. And he's going to come up a little bit short of the first down at about the 13-yard line. 4th and a good 4 to go. And in comes the field goal unit for Spurrier.
Interesting, Mark. We talk about the difference in a Spurrier offense. Would you have ever seen him run that football right there on 3rd and long back in the days when he was at Florida? I don't think so.
Empty formation, 5 receivers.
You've got it, Mark. I mean, that's almost right there. You know, even though it's Corey Boyd carrying it, a bit of a give up right there.
Ryan Suckup is 11 of 15 on the season. This one's going to come from about 30 yards out. He's already made one from 37 tonight. From the right hash, and he knocks it right down Main Street. Well, they do put some points on the board, but the question still begs after the field goal. Can the South Carolina defense slow down D-Mac and Felix Jones? With a name like Jones, you know he can run. Back after this. Welcome back to ESPN2's College Football Primetime, presented by GoDaddy.com. Under the lights here at Frank Broyles Field, Razorback Stadium. Mitchell and Boyd. Talking things over on the sidelines. That last offensive sequence ending in a field goal coming from 30 yards.
Looks like his stomach's bothering him, doesn't it?
Interesting call there on 3rd down and long.
No question, Mark. To run the draw and then really settle for the
onside kick, Bob.
How about this call?
And South Carolina recovers it. Steve Spurrier rolling the dice, and Emmanuel Cook, the defensive back, recovers it.
How about that call from the old ball coach, though?
Now they're saying maybe that there was a fumble at the end of the recovery, and Arkansas signaling that they got it back. Let's wait and see. What could have been for the Gamecocks.
Mark, a perfectly designed play to Emmanuel Cook on the outside. They're going to review this, I'm sure.
Emmanuel Cook fielded that thing cleanly.
Fielded it cleanly. Once again, the ball will go 10 yards. So Emmanuel Cook obviously can go ahead and recover it as the first guy. Now, here's the question.
The kick was recovered by the kicking team after the ball went 10 yards.
Mark, it is reviewable.
The ball is dead at the spot of recovery and belongs to the kicking team. First down.
There you go.
Oh, you cannot advance.
And it's going to be South Carolina football at the 45-yard line, so they get a break here, recovering the onside kick. And that was, is that an audible at the line of scrimmage, Bob, or is that
Very well could be, Mark. On their alignment, you may go in saying, look, we're going to kick it if they're lined up how we expect them to line up. If not, we kick it off. But how about the old ball coach that we thought was conservative on that 3rd down call?
And they're going up top right away. Incomplete at the 19-yard line. Intended for McKinley. South Carolina's special teams coach, Bob, was standing right there on the sidelines and perhaps made that call, the signal.
What you do, it's pretty simple. You call it, and if they line up the way you thought they were going to line up from your film study, you keep it on. Because you know the percentage are you're going to recover. Now, if they line up in something different than you thought, you go ahead and kick the ball deep. But you know Emmanuel Cook, one thing about South Carolina, they will put their best players on special teams now.
With the ball at the 45-yard line, 2nd and 10. New life once again for the Gamecocks. Boyd hung on to it, a juggling act. Corey Boyd stopped it on a dime. Didn't leave the Razorbacks any change and gets a first down at the 32-yard line. Wow. A 23-yard pickup by Corey Boyd, and slow to get up off the turf.
Well, Mark, you play man-to-man. Watch Dacus. He's going to have Corey Boyd man-to-man. But what's fun is watch the catch. One-hand catch. Now the move. And another move. 3 big-time backs in this game, Mark Jones. And right here, if you have a trick play, if you're Spurrier, right here's the scenario where he runs one of those gadget plays, Mark.
They give it to Davis, who runs it into the boundary and runs it into a bevy of Arkansas tacklers. One more look at the work of Corey Boyd.
Yeah, and Corey Boyd, Mark, came in with 29 catches, their second leading receiver.
That's a heck of a catch, Bob.
That is great concentration, isn't it? What a third down back in the NFL he could be.
Last week against Tennessee finally ended his 2-week media boycott of silence, letting his game do the talking.
He's not 100% though. There's something bothering Corey Boyd.
Under 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. Quick 3-step drop complete to LaCorn. And LaCorn pushed out of bounds just short of the 25. They'll have about 4 more yards to go for the first down. He picked up 6 on the play. And the South Carolina offense, Bob, has come out of the locker room, despite what Steve Spurrier said to Stacy on the sidelines. You know, they've come out with a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of stroke here.
He talked about how do you stop McFadden and Felix Jones. Keep them over there on that bench, man.
3rd and 4. Marcus Harrison made contact up front there, number 55 for the Arkansas defense, but was he pulled off?
I think good job by the Cadence right there, but South Carolina. But you know, you wonder what those coaches do up there in that office late at night. Why they work all those hours? That was that onside kick as a result of all that film stuff.
Offsides. Number 55, defense, made contact before the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Boy, you talk about film study and what the coaches do late at night in the office, Bob. I'll add agonize and obsess. And you can see it on his face right there.
He's thinking about right now, maybe at the end of the first half, Houston, maybe I should have tried to get some more points.
First down and 10 after the infraction. Mitchell wide open to Cook. And Cook can make it happen. And he does. Touchdown, South Carolina. A lethal wide receiver from the tight end position goes in to score.
Again, man-to-man coverage. The linebacker chasing him across the field. He gets picked. That was a great play call right there on the crossing route. You see Fairchild again, Mark, gets caught up in traffic. And how about the second half Gamecocks, huh?
Unbelievable momentum, changing directions here. As Jared Cook with his second touchdown catch of the season, the 3rd of his career. The extra point good, and it was all set up by the onside kick. Right there. It was recovered by Cook. And then into the end zone, it was the other Cook, Jared Cook, and they are really cooking now, down by just 8.
ESPN's College Football Primetime.
Look at the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame showcasing the history of sports here in Arkansas. It includes a salute to Arkansas coaching legends and displays over 250 inductees into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame since its formation in 1958. And one of the great names out there as we talk and think about the speed on the field, Tyson Gay, world champion from Arkansas, this past year ran a 9.85 in the 100 meters. It's something that they have a lot of here on campus at Arkansas, whether it's football or track. McFadden with some speed out to the 30-yard line and back to Stan in the studio.
All right, Mark, time for a 30-30 update. Navy held on a Notre Dame 2-point conversion attempt in the third overtime to beat the Irish 46-44. That snapped a 43-game losing streak to Notre Dame. And Kansas beat Nebraska 76-39, the most points Nebraska's ever given up in the program's history. Tyler Reeson with 6 touchdown passes. More on SportsCenter at 11 Eastern on ESPN, or stay current with ESPN News.
All right, thanks a lot, Stan. Boy, Nebraska giving up all those points. Those black shirts, Bob, black and blue shirts right now.
It's amazing when you lose confidence on defense.
McFadden with some yards after contact, about 2 that time. Emmanuel Cook made the hit. Cook was the guy that recovered that onside kick, which led to the touchdown. South Carolina scored 10 points in just under 6 minutes to really, Bob, change the complexion of this game.
Well, Mark, there is no question the atmosphere of this game has changed. Look at Emmanuel Cook, though, their leading tackler. He is a great football player, Mark. A young guy out of Florida that really wasn't that highly recruited. Talking about Emmanuel Cook.
McFadden with a gain of about 6 on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 2 coming up for the Razorbacks. And Cook out of Palm Beach Gardens.
Mark, I'll tell you about this guy. He rushed for 373 yards in a high school football game, but was not recruited by the Florida schools and ended up at South Carolina. I love this kid. He's a contact football player now.
Yeah, the Florida schools all said he was a little too short. Jones got the first down for the Razorbacks. And for more on Boyd, Stacey Dales down in the field.
Well, Mark, I've been standing down here behind Boyd. We've got a camera on him, and he's clearly in a lot of pain. He's been pointing to his lower right stomach, and I spoke with some team officials. He's very sore there. I guess he took a hit there, guys, but clearly wincing, in a lot of pain. Could be a situation we need to follow. But remember, guys, he's very resilient, going last week 160 yards, 20 carries. This guy's a fighter.
Certainly is, and it's going to be tough to keep him off the field. Felix Jones got about 7 on that play. Jones has just gone over 1,000 yards rushing this season on that run. So at the beginning of the night, but we talked about McFadden needing just 7 to reach 1,000. Jones does it almost in the first half alone.
Wow. What a night. Really a great tackle by Darian Stewart right there at 32, just to get him on the ground in the open field. But you're right. I mean, the best defense, keep that ball away from these guys.
Great concept. Here's Jones again, this time held, quote unquote, to just 3 yards, but enough to get the first down at the 43-yard line for the Razorbacks. Felix Jones, a kinesiology major, so when you talk about the study of movement and kinesiology, there's a guy that really knows how to move and shake the right way. Has a couple of touchdowns tonight. A junior, as Stacey Dales reported a few moments ago earlier in the first half, perhaps considering the possibility of whether he will declare for the NFL draft.
Mark, I asked him yesterday how much he weighed. He is 205 pounds, so he's not a little guy.
Out of the Wild Hog formation, this is Smith. And Smith gets a rare touch for him. Well, all the talk about McFadden and Jones, there's Smith with 8 yards in a blur and a flag down on the play.
Smith can run now. Had a setback early in the season against Kentucky when Arkansas had a big lead in the first half. Fumbled the ball and Kentucky ran it back.
Yeah, kind of changed the momentum in that game. Kentucky came on to win. Smith out of Tallahassee, Florida. Talk about strength. A guy that squats 515 pounds.
Personal foul, clipping, number 75, defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
That's one you don't see very often now.
No.
I think they clipped an offensive lineman from Arkansas late in that play. I saw one of Arkansas's linemen go down. Yeah, I think that might be backwards now. 75, Nate Garner, the offensive tackle from Arkansas. I've never seen clipping called on the defense. That's one I have a hard time understanding. I think Nate's trying to hide right now. Nate's trying to get skinny. Look at Nate.
You can't hide a guy 300 pounds.
He's trying to be inconspicuous right now.
They're hiding him at the 45-yard line. He's saying he's in the witness.
Felton's hiding him from the referee.
Offense.
Look.
Felton and Petrus. We're trying to put him in the witness protection program at the 45, but you know there's about 70,000 other people that figured out where he was, including the guys in the striped shirts.
And you know, when you're a team like Arkansas, any team, but when you're a team that runs the ball so proficiently, that's a huge penalty now. Sets up 1st and 20.
And moves the ball all the way back into their territory at the 48. Single back formation. That's McFadden back there. He gets the call. Darren McFadden weaving between the tackles and a nice burst across the 40 down to the 38-yard line. It is unbelievable the way he accelerates.
Mark, here's my hero. 66, Petrus, the offensive guard now, was a fullback. What's the athleticism of this guy? I know you don't get really excited about that, but
it's not sexy, but it works.
300 pounds pulling around there now. All you want to do is watch that football.
It's not sexy.
You don't want to watch anything else.
Out of the Wild Hog formation, McFadden keeps it, and it turns out to be a good decision. First down, Darren McFadden brought down at the 23. A 16-yard gallop by a Heisman Trophy candidate, and that's exactly why.
Mark, how difficult the misdirection fake to Michael Smith. Then it's Darren McFadden. I'll tell you what, you start talking about just the best players in the country.
Yeah.
And this guy has my vote as maybe the best player in the country.
Bob now closing in on Emmitt Smith, of all people, in terms of all-time rushers in the SEC. Looking to pass it. He's thrown 4 touchdowns. Up for grabs, and there's number 5. Johnson with the catch. There's a flag down on the play.
Well, you know what that's going to be. Celebration for spiking that ball into the Razorback down there. But Robert Johnson just goes up, Mark, and makes a play.
And McFadden put it on the money for him, Bob.
Mark, you knew it was coming. We talked about the most versatile player in the country. He got so excited he took his eyes off the football, throws off his back foot. But how about Robert Johnson, who was the starting quarterback last year in the first game of USC? Goes up and makes a play. That's the Mark Rickroll. Everybody wants to celebrate now after a touchdown.
We're going to talk about that, too. Well, you know what? You can certainly understand the emotion that Johnson let loose with that quick, spontaneous, I'll say, spike of the ball. When you consider what he's been through during his career, a senior here at Arkansas. McFadden, meanwhile, with his 2nd touchdown pass this season, and as I mentioned, the 5th of his career. Do you think that the little fumble was part of the plan?
No, absolutely not.
Robert Johnson with a touchdown catch. His 1st of the season, 9th of his career.
Mark, you can't throw the ball off the Razorback like that.
That's disrespect to the pig,
disrespect.
Huh? Back with more after this. This ESPN2 telecast is available in striking high definition on ESPN2 HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro. Now, after the penalty on the touchdown, the ball plays back at the 15-yard line, where Brian Vavra will kick off.
They're having fun, aren't they, Mark Jones?
Wow, 147 yards rushing. And by the way, Felix Jones has 146. And get down to the 12
position, Mark, after that penalty.
I would call it that. And then some. Into Arkansas territory at the 35-yard line. Chris Culliver with a nice run back as we go to Stan Fred for a Sports Center in-game update.
All right, guys, it took Matt Ryan a little while to get started last week against Virginia Tech, but he was there when it mattered. And down 10-0, he goes to Brandon Robinson to cut it to 10-7, but Florida State's still up 3, 3rd quarter ticking away.
Boy. We saw Matt Ryan early when not many people knew about Matt Ryan against Georgia Tech. Heisman frontrunner right now, Mark Jones.
He's put some numbers up. Boston College in tough, though, tonight against the Seminoles. Mike Davis dotting the I at tailback. Play action. Mitchell on the post. McKinley open. Incomplete. And he had him wide open, Bob. Got in on Michael Grant. And much to the dismay of the old ball coach.
Mark, the inconsistency will wear you out. I mean, Blake Mitchell has made so many great throws, but that was a wide open touchdown against man-to-man coverage. But put it away. There's a bunch of ball left to play. Yeah. And you know Blake Mitchell is resilient now. He will bounce back.
He's come back and made a couple of nice throws after 2 near misses for earlier touchdowns. His backup, Chris Smelly, not starting. He was relieved in the Tennessee game in the 2nd half last week. Mitchell, complete, and a first down at the 22-yard line to Jared Cook. Cook scoring a touchdown earlier this quarter. A 12-yard pickup.
And I'll tell you what, Jared Cook, 84, a tight end in a wide receiver's body. I mean, he just ran the linebacker Fairchild over, Mark. And what a catch. You better get a defensive back on Fairchild. But, I mean, that's a, on Jared Cook. But that's a tough matchup. The kid runs 4'5", at 6'5".
235 pounds. Mitchell given plenty of time into the end zone. This time, the catch made. Touchdown, Gamecocks. The freshman, Dion LaCorn, scores it.
And Dion LaCorn beats Michael Grant, the fastest player on Arkansas's football team. And Mark, that did not take very long, did it?
Yeah, well, after missing McKinley, this time he delivered a strike to LaCorn.
Watch this. Michael Grant, who was a safety early in the season, I mean, just miscommunication. Looked like he thought he had inside help. But wow, the explosiveness of South Carolina all of a sudden.
Well, the defenses, respectively, Bob, seem to have disappeared here so far in the third quarter. That's LaCorn's second touchdown this season, and both offenses really getting revved up here in the second half. Well, South Carolina's has scored 2+.
And I know you love the celebration. I mean, you are in the Mark Richt fan club now after what happened to Georgia. But when Robert Johnson spiked that Razorback with that football, Mark, that 15 yards cost.
Now, you can look at it that way. I'll say that the 45-yard kickoff return, whether it happened, whether it was kicked off from the 15 or usually where it is at the 30, it was a nice return of 45 yards.
It wasn't just the penalty.
But back to Mark Richt, I got no problem with that. I don't think that you can legislate all the emotion out of the game. It's nice to see the pendulum swing back the other way just a little bit.
I mean, it's more than emotion being legislated when you have 60 players come off the bench to go out there and celebrate. It could have been an outright riot down there in Jacksonville if the Florida players wouldn't have been disciplined.
Good restraint shown by Urban Myers. And, Reggie Herring trying to get his defense revved up again. They have been porous here in the second half. And Reggie getting up in their kitchen right now.
And I tell you what, this guy will get up in your grill now. There's some coaches, Mark, that think we're against them in practice as coaches, but we're with them and for them in games. And you want everything positive as a coach during the game. Now, you can get on them in practice all you want. Reggie Herring, he's against them in practice, and he's against them in the game now.
Look at this, another onside kick attempt. This time the Razorbacks weren't sleeping on it. It's out of bounds, and it will be Razorback football on South Carolina's side of the field. And Ryan Succop going to get a little some. He will be broke off by his coach right here. Steve Spurrier getting up in his kitchen. And now Spurrier having a little discussion with his coach.
Mark, I think what's happened again, you audible in and out of that kick based on the alignment right there. Fred Chatham, the special teams coach, I don't think Steve wanted to automatic and audible to that onside kick right there. I think that took Steve Spurrier by surprise. Now, if it would have worked, he might have been pleasantly surprised.
And we'd be calling him a genius again.
But that was not called. That was automatically checked through at the line of scrimmage.
Madden takes the handoff, got about a yard on the play. Under 4.5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Let's go big picture a little bit. In the SEC, Arkansas is 1-3, 5-3 overall. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. Kind of hot coming in, although a step up in competition tonight for Houston Nutt's team. A win tonight, and they would become bowl eligible. They've got 3 more games after this one tonight. South Carolina, meanwhile, at 3-3 in conference play in the SEC East, still with a chance mathematically to win the division. And McFadden takes the handoff, and a good move, and another one so far untouched. Darren McFadden down to the 10. This is an offense that can detonate in any moment.
Mark, hold on to that Heisman if you're Matt Ryan, but watch this play. You're going to get a block by Hillis up the hole. They're going to fake a little misdirection, and then McFadden's going to lead. Watch the misdirection. Then he follows Hillis up into the hole, and then a little shake and bake right there on 32, Darian Stewart. That is tough to defend, Mark.
Wow.
Heisman alert, Mark.
Well, it's back on. It was about this time last year that McFadden made himself a prominent member of the Heisman top. And chatter as he gets about 3 on that run. Darren McFadden, we met him earlier, and a great personality, a very lovable kid, a likable kid, doesn't take himself too seriously, dressed up as Fred Flintstone on campus here for Halloween earlier this week.
#1 draft pick, Mark.
easily.
I mean, come on. Oh, yeah.
Top 10.
Look what Adrian Peterson's doing in the NFL. This is Adrian Peterson's speed, but this kid will drop the pads and deliver a blow. Plus, he can catch.
Under 3 minutes to go. Wild hog formation. Felix Jones, first round.
Oh, man.
You talk about it. Better ask somebody. Felix Jones with the score.
And he get a great block by Nate Garner, number 75, Mark. But how about giving Felix Jones that kind of running start? You have to love the window dressing on this Arkansas offense. I mean, they're lining up and running the football every down, but there's a lot of window dressing, and you don't know where it's coming from now.
Unbelievable varied rushing attack, a diverse rushing attack by the Razorbacks. The third rushing touchdown of the game for Felix Jones, a career high. Took the handoff from Darren McFadden. Bob, these guys look like they're on roller skates on wheels.
You don't know where they're coming from. But watch big Garner right here. I mean, my man Felix isn't even in the screen yet, but he's going to come in late. Watch Garner.
They never got a hand on him.
Talk about staying on a block. Remember the point that was made to us yesterday by David Lee, the offensive coordinator? Just hold your blocks. That time Nate Garner held that block, Mark.
Wow. 186 yards on the ground for McFadden, 154 for Jones. Like I said, it appears at times as if Jones and McFadden are on rollers, like they're on wheels. They've been untouched for a lot of their runs tonight.
But you know what? So much credit to David Lee, the offensive coordinator, Mark. This offense is fun to watch now. A lot of moving parts, a lot of window dressing. But I'm going to tell you what now, 5 and 25, are they explosive?
Yeah. You know, the shame of it from a Houston Nutt prism and perspective is that there's nothing that he can say to keep one of them in school next year.
He gave a little Tulsa signal right there. You know what, though? Enjoy the night, man. Win tonight. If you're Houston Nutt, he's not even thinking about next year, I promise you.
See if the Gamecocks can answer a little bit here with 2:45 to go in the third quarter. It has been a very prolific period for both offenses. Well, we were talking about the Heisman a few moments ago with McFadden and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan with 19 touchdown passes going into the game tonight against Florida State. But the Boston College team struggling tonight. Dennis Dixon of Oregon piling up the points tonight against Arizona State. Tim Tebow with 33 touchdowns. Pat White and West Virginia's high-powered offense. Mike Hart's been nicked up a little bit, and Cole Brennan with 26 touchdown passes. His touchdown pass is actually down from a season ago, believe it or not. Boyd still in the game, albeit a little bit nicked up right now. Takes the pass and run out of bounds at the 33-yard line by Weston Dacus.
You know, you looked at that Heisman. Think about the beginning of the season. John David Booty.
Wow.
Chad Henne. Think how much has changed. I still think Darren McFadden can win the Heisman, though, Mark. I mean, last year, he just started in the month of November. This kid right here, if Boston College loses, I mean, Matt Ryan doesn't have real tight grasp on the #1 spot. And Darren McFadden is still in it.
Boyd off the toss into the boundary, hauled down right at the line of scrimmage, and D-Mac is getting his Mac on tonight. So effective, whether it's on the edges or between the tackles or, hey, even throwing the football. His second touchdown toss tonight after the fumble. Got his ink, got his tats.
He's just having fun, though. I mean, you love the kid because, Mark, he's so much fun to be around.
Big third down coming up for the Gamecocks here. With under 2 minutes to go. 3rd and 3. Boyd fighting, lunging, but coming up about a half-yard short.
He's going to go for it, Mark. I mean, he's going for this fourth down now.
Down by 15 points with under 2 minutes to go in the period. South Carolina 3-3 in the SEC East. Felix Jones with that perma smile of his. There's no defender smiling when they see number 22 running at them.
How about the onside kick, though? Back-to-back onside kicks by South Carolina. I don't think Steve saw that second one coming up, but he's going to go for this 4th down. So I think it's a little bit short.
Well, that line of ours is inexact, so you see it coming up that much short. 4th down, they're going to call it about 1 to go.
Mark, you think about 6 different combinations of offensive guards in there for South Carolina. So, I mean, there's not much experience in there.
They're 5 of 13, Bob, on 4th down conversions this season.
Well, they just substituted right there on the offensive line.
Wow. Mike Davis in the back.
I think they're going to throw the football. That quarterback sneak. It looks like quarterback sneak the way they're lined up.
Blake Mitchell had a QB sneak for a touchdown earlier tonight. He hands it off to Davis, and Davis got the 1st down at the 38-yard line.
Was there any doubt he was going to go for it on 4th down?
I think the only surprise is that he didn't try and throw it downfield that time. 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks.
Talk about South Carolina coming in here with back-to-back losses, Mark. Vanderbilt and Tennessee. They get Florida at home next week. I mean, this is a huge game for both these teams.
And so far, Blake Mitchell able to hang on to the quarterbacking job. He came in on relief of Chris Smelley last week in the 2nd half, and now Mitchell looking to the sideline and calling a South Carolina timeout with 1 minute to go in the 3rd quarter as we go to Stan Verrett for the Sports Center in-game update.
Guys, Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Oklahoma at number 6, looking to move up after Arizona State's loss. And Sam Bradford having quite a night hooking up with Jermaine Gresham. They've hooked up for 4 touchdowns, 35-0 Sooners at this point. And Connecticut, number 13 in the BCS. They get an impressive win over Rutgers at home. They're 4-0 in the Big East.
Now, if you would have told me at the start of the year that Rutgers would be ranked number 13, pardon me, Connecticut number 13, people would have looked at me a little bit sideways, but that's where they are right now.
Well, how would you feel about Boston College being ranked number 2, Arizona State number 4, Kansas number 8, Missouri number 9? That's crazy.
It has been that time of topsy-turvy.
And Mark,
turbulent
talk about USC potentially being the best team of all time in college football in the preseason.
Well, that talk ended about the middle of October. Mitchell given time, wide open to Davis. With a nice move in midfield, a couple of them, and still on his feet. Davis brought down finally inside the 5-yard line by Norton. And it's 1st and goal for South Carolina.
That is a great call against man-to-man coverage. Watch Davis, he's right here. He's going to run a little crossing route against the linebacker, kind of a misdirection. It's man-to-man coverage, and the linebacker loses him. A couple great play calls and a great move right there by Mike Davis. But some great play calls by Steve Spurrier to the tight end and to the running back, Mark, against linebackers man-to-man.
As Boyd Bob comes back into the ballgame for South Carolina out of the offset eye. 1st and goal after the 57-yard pickup. Boyd flagged down on the far side of the field. As Boyd is brought down to the 1-yard line. Well, talked about some of the offensive personnel groupings they've used on the offensive line for South Carolina. That's led to some problems and penalties.
Illegal formation. Offense. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage.
Mark, you're right.
5-yard penalty.
I mean, that's just a self-inflicted mistake. I mean, you think of the mistakes South Carolina has made this season.
That's what leads Spurrier to say we're not making the plays that championship teams are supposed to make right now.
I mean, that's just an illegal formation where you just line up poorly. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. And that's only 5 yards, but that's huge on 1st and goal now from the 10.
3 receivers to the bottom of your screen. Mitchell goes into the end zone, intended for Cook, but there were 2 guys and a lot of traffic there. 2nd down and goal from the 10-yard line.
Well, Mark, that play was predetermined to go to Jared Cook because he had McKinley on a crossing route right there against man-to-man coverage. But Blake made his mind up early where he was going with the football. But again, that penalty, 1st and goal from the 10, is completely different than 1st and goal from the 5.
What kind of options does it take away?
Takes away that running game. But I think they may come back right here and run some kind of a draw right here.
2nd and goal coming up. 3-receiver formation for Mitchell. Complete to McKinley. And upended and planted at the 3-yard line by Rashad Johnson.
Mark, he went right back to the same play. When I said a moment ago McKinley was open against man-to-man coverage, he went right back to it.
3rd down and goal coming up. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter of play. Back with the 4th right after this. A huge quarter, 3rd quarter offensively for both teams. 31 total points scored in the period. 38 total scored in the first half alone. And South Carolina with the ball, 3rd down and goal. They might be thinking about 4th down territory here.
Not might. He's going to go for it on 4th down here if he doesn't make it. So don't be shocked if they run this football.
Boyd the lone back behind Mitchell. Into the end zone. Boy, somebody got a mixed signal as McKinley broke the other way. It's 4th and goal coming up.
Mark, that might have been pass interference. I mean, they got all jammed up out there. They tried to cross the receivers. Watch. Right there. Now, McKinley ran into the defensive back from Arkansas. Now this makes this really a tough call on 4th and 2 from the 2. I thought he may run the football back there on that 3rd and 2, Mark.
Seems like they've been down inside the 10 for the last 10 plays.
There's some confusion between Blake Mitchell and Corey Boyd. You have to think about 84, Jared Cook, the big, tall wide receiver.
There's Mitchell for Boyd, and he overshot him. Arkansas takes over on downs, and Boyd is high.
Look, that's bottom line. You got to call it like you see it. That 3rd down call was very questionable, in my opinion, knowing you were in 4-down territory.
You run it, maybe get a little closer?
I do. I mean, I try to get it. I get the ball in number 3's hands. I promise you that, Corey Boyd. And don't forget, the penalty on 1st down, which made it 1st and goal from the 10, ended up biting South Carolina.
Arkansas taking over on 1st down. That's McFadden across the 5 out to the 7-yard line. Arkansas trying to pick up the tempo a little bit. One more look at that 4th down play. Spurrier imploring his quarterback.
Yeah, Mark, really on 4th down, nothing there. And watch the reaction. He knows that's a bad play.
And Boyd was hotter than the month of July. 2nd down coming up for the Razorbacks. And the same old song and chorus. Hand it off to McFadden, hand it off to Jones. Why not? It's been a great game plan for Houston Nutt's crew.
Well, Mark, let's talk about that 3rd quarter. I know there's a bunch of great games on the family of networks tonight. There's going to be no more entertaining 3rd quarter than that was.
No running backs like this, though.
You've got that right. 2 onside kicks in the 3rd quarter. 31 points in the 3rd quarter. Still a lot of football left, man.
Part frown, part scowl, part bewilderment written on the face of Boyd right there.
He wanted to carry the football. I don't blame him.
3rd down and 2 coming up for Arkansas. Stop here for the defense for the Gamecocks would be huge.
Arkansas taking that clock right down and calling time.
Timeout. Arkansas. First charge, timeout of the half.
Blake Mitchell there. He's taken a lot of hits in his career at South Carolina. Suspended for the first game of the season, benched, now back again. Plenty of football ahead for the Gamecocks and the Razorbacks when we come back. Great running backs on the field tonight, and a look at the all-time leaders in the SEC. Darren McFadden tonight moving into the number 7 hole ahead of Emmitt Smith. 3rd down and coming up for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and a high snap, and the Wild Hog formation goes awry, and that's a safety for South Carolina. Plus the Razorbacks have to give the ball up. So in one play the complexion changes. Wow, what a turn of events. He wasn't watching.
Wasn't quite ready. Last week South Carolina had a missed shotgun snap the first play in overtime against Tennessee, but wow.
McFadden being a little upset. So now it's 42-29, and Arkansas will have to kick it from its own 20.
You know, it really is amazing, Mark, as much shotgun snaps as you see in college football, that there aren't more bad shotgun snaps. I mean, can you imagine snapping that football and having to block?
Hey, Bob, that may have cost South Carolina the game last week against Tennessee when Mitchell in overtime.
Sure, that's what I said. The first play of overtime, yeah. But I'll tell you what, this is an entertaining football game.
The ebb and flow has been incredible. The momentum swings in this game back and forth.
And obviously going to be great field position right here for South Carolina. You know, Captain Munnerlyn, number 1, used to be the return man early in the season. They've gone with the freshman Chris Culliver, number 17, but this guy can fly right here.
And there's a look at Munnerlyn, and Vavra kicking off from his own 20-yard line for Arkansas. 13:27 to go. Big picture of South Carolina trying to move over the 500 mark in SEC play. Into this one at 3-3. It's a squib. Squibs all the way down to the 27. DeMarco on the kick return. Out to the 45, as we thought. Good field position. Meanwhile, hey, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series is on ABC with battling for the Cup. Jeff Gordon clinging to a 9-point lead on Jimmy Johnson, heads to Texas Motor Speedway, where he's never won, and Jimmy Johnson is looking for his 3rd consecutive win. Coverage beginning at 3 Eastern with NASCAR Countdown as you look at Jimmy Johnson and his consecutive races won. 13:20 to go. 1st and 10. See how much they give the ball to Corey Boyd on this drive. They elect to pass it, and it's complete. Good decision right near the marker. On the Arkansas side of midfield at the 46-yard line, Jared Cook figuring into the equation. He was working against Freddie Fairchild, Bob, a linebacker, not a DB.
Exactly, Mark. And they've had the linebacker on him all game. But how about Patrick DeMarco on that kickoff return? His uncle, you'll know this name, Chris DeMarco of the PGA Tour.
Well, he didn't shank that last kickoff return. He just kind of kept it between the fairway. And now it's Boyd. There's a reason to give it to Corey Boyd. Got the 1st down at the 36-yard line. He picked up 11 yards.
Mark, he gets another excellent block by the fullback Leonard Stafford up in the hole. But you see why Corey Boyd wanted that football on the last series on the 3-yard line. I mean, this guy will take a team on his back, kind of like McFadden and Felix Jones do for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, I thought it talked about him being through a lot of his career at South Carolina. He was suspended for the 05 season for violating team rules. Thought about transferring to Rutgers at the time, elected to stay. And right now, just a couple of hours short of graduating. And Mitchell sacked back at the 45-yard line by Freddie Fairchild. 3.5 sacks for him now on the season.
And Mark, that should not have been that difficult. Watch Fairchild right here. He just delays a second and then runs straight ahead, and South Carolina turns him loose. Wow.
It's been one of the real bugaboos for that offensive line. A couple of games ago against Vandy, they gave up 7 sacks and had 5 false starts.
And they've given up 29 sacks now on the season.
2nd and 18. Little bunch formation, jailbreak screen. Pass complete to Kenny McKinley. McKinley's done a great job this year. Can't say it too much about filling the void left by Sidney Rice, who left early for the NFL. And there was a gaping hole in terms of productivity and leadership, and McKinley has filled it nicely this year.
Yeah, Mark, quarterback in high school. He caught 14 balls last week against Tennessee for 151 yards. A lot of those little screens and quick throws last week against the Vols.
Has 5 catches tonight, Bob, for 67 yards. 3rd and 8 coming up for the Gamecocks. Mitchell complete to Cook. They get the J.O.B. done. 10-yard pickup by Jared Cook for the first down.
Mark, great timing route right there. You see Jared Cook, who's really a wide receiver, just hooks up, and a great throw by Blake Mitchell.
Having a flashback perhaps to last year when he came in the second half and rallied South Carolina from a 20-point deficit to within just seconds of winning against Arkansas. 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. Boyd finding a hole over the right side that time, inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. Weston Dacus making the stop, but Corey Boyd picked up 5.
And you know Corey Boyd is motivated by the head-to-head comparison, Mark, with McFadden and Felix Jones, because he's playing for that NFL paycheck as well. What better audition than to see how you match up against this guy right here?
Yeah, he's heard everybody all week talk about McFadden and Felix Jones. 2nd down and 5. Mitchell delivers a strike complete. It's going to be marked right near the 1st down marker inside the 15-yard line. He found McKinley again working against Richardson.
What a crossroads game, though, Mark, as we enter November for these two teams.
Yeah, this is when things really start to count.
Both of them with 3 Southeastern Conference losses. The winner can go on and have a great season. The loser will not have a great season.
Tough thought for whomever doesn't come out of this game successful. Mitchell got the 1st down on the quarterback sneak.
But amazing how much better South Carolina plays in the second half compared to the first half. Yeah. 2 weeks in a row now, Mark, offensively.
A huge turnaround for them as we approach 10 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter.
Arkansas is blitzing. Blake Mitchell sees it. Watch the corner route to number 11, Kenny McKinley right here, Mark.
He's at the top of your screen. Mitchell looks the other way, threw it behind his receiver, but it was caught nonetheless by number 82, Freddie Brown.
Yeah, Freddie Brown had a big fumble against Tennessee, but his dad's a high school coach. Good hands. Surprised me that they didn't go up to the wide side of the field against that man-to-man coverage, but they come into the boundary to Freddie Brown.
Picked up 6 on the play. Herring trying to get the signals in for the Arkansas defense. Mitchell audibly.
It's just man-to-man coverage up here, Mark.
Mitchell given time. LaCorn made the catch. Where's his forward progress going to be marked? It's going to be marked short of that 1st down by about a yard.
Mark, that was unbelievable. I mean, LaCorn kind of stopped and slowed down, and then Jarrell Norton takes off and leaves him alone up there. Good patience by Blake Mitchell. Because there wasn't much of a pass rush, he was able to stay in the game and get it out to LaCorn.
They can get a 1st down without scoring a touchdown here. 3rd and 1. Mitchell keeps it himself and appears to have gotten the 1st down, so it'll be 1st and goal for South Carolina. All this, remember, set up after the high snap to McFadden on the Wild Hog formation, which caused the safety, and then subsequently Arkansas having to kick the ball off.
Mark, it is amazingly quiet in this stadium.
Are there people here?
Wow, it is unbelievable compared to the first half. And I would, well, I'm not going to say, but Corey Boyd, number 3, Mark, get his hands on the football right here.
1st and goal for South Carolina. You see what the old ball coach has dialed up. They throw it on the fade. McKinley incomplete. On 1st down, they elect to throw it. And it's 2nd and goal for Mitchell.
I guess if you like to throw the ball, you keep on throwing it. But McKinley, man-to-man coverage. I mean, a bunch of shaking, a bunch of bacon, but he didn't go anywhere. That looked like me on the basketball court, trying all those head fakes and everything.
It was more just like a hair fake. His hair was moving.
Pump fake, everything.
Nobody bought it that time. 2nd and goal.
I think Corey Boyd's going to carry this football, isn't he?
13th play of the drive. We'll see. LaCorn in motion. It's Boyd time. Touchdown time, Gamecocks. And the silence even more deafening now as South Carolina cuts the lead to a tenuous 7 points with the extra point to come. Corey Boyd coming off the field after this drive, a much happier, Bob, than he was last sequence.
Yeah, Mark, and he's playing hurt a little bit, but man, 5th-year senior, been through an awful lot. Story well documented. So much on the line for him individually as he finishes his senior season. Give him the football.
6 rushing touchdowns this season for Corey Boyd, and the 17th of his career. You add it all up, and South Carolina now closer within striking range. See Boyd out of Orange, New Jersey. Looking up top for a little help. Back after this.
ESPN's College Football Primetime.
You see that? The names of Arkansas' senior class carved into the sidewalks of the campus. A tradition that started in 1876. Senior Walk now stretches over 5 miles and contains the names of more than 120,000 Arkansas graduates, and that's soon to be one of them. Monk, Tillis, Dacus, 3 key cogs. And a very good senior class for Arkansas. Senior class that was part of a team last year that went 10-4 and won the SEC West. We talk about some of the elite running backs in the SEC. Boy, what a roll call. Herschel at Georgia. Vincent Jackson, 82-85. And Emmitt Smith with those big shoulder pads at Florida, Bob.
And the cutoff midriff jersey that I know you love so well.
Oh, man. Show that 6-pack. Sean Alexander of Alabama, and then the guys tonight. Hey, stacking up pretty good against some of those guys, especially McFadden.
And running in this league, in this conference, Mark.
The give is once some more. McFadden.
See ya.
D-Mac.
Hold on, Matt Ryan.
D-Mac not looking back. Touchdown.
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like it?
Wide open again. Did that take how long?
It was an 80-yard run. I'll guess about 8 seconds.
Wow.
Somebody get him a plane ticket for New York City and the Downtown Athletic Club.
I'll tell you what, they had some angles on him, Mark, and he just flat ran away from everybody. And that's 6'2", 215 pounds running down that football field now.
He's getting his chest all swollen, and why not? He can feel good about himself and his team after that 80-yard burst across the Arkansas plains.
Mark, 8-point lead. Arkansas going to go for 2 right here and make it a 10-point game. But let's look at that highlight again. I want to see big number 5 running down that football field.
A career-high run for Darren McFadden, Bob. 80 yards.
Let's just watch it. Right here, they have some angles on him.
They still haven't touched him at this point. And they won't. Wow. Untouched. Getting his flex on, and why not?
And how about the stamina? He's not even breathing hard now. And look at Corey Boyd watching it on the big screen.
He's just saying that ain't right. That is not right.
He said, you mean to tell me that guy is 6'2", 215 pounds and can run like that?
You know, when we were meeting with McFadden yesterday, Bob, we asked him, what is it about South Carolina that gets you all geeked up? Because he's rushed for more yards against them than any other team.
But what about the month of November?
Yeah.
I mean, he was not even in the Heisman top 10 a year ago, Mark. And all he did in November was 219 against South Carolina, 182 against LSU, 181 against Tennessee. I mean, those are pretty good teams now you're running for 200 yards against.
I'll tell you one thing. Our director, Kelly Atkinson, is flying back to New York. He might want to talk to McFadden about that direct flight that goes from Northwest Arkansas Airport into New York City. And
well, he's in New York. It's just, does he win it or not? Here he is right here.
Well, if he completes passes, well, he can almost do everything. That one intercepted at the end zone. Could cut him a little bit of slack, though. Pats at his chest, says, that one's on me, my bad. But that took some of the steam out of the Gamecocks. Back with more after this. McFadden with an 80-yard burst into the end zone. Now with a school record 274 yards rushing, Bob.
Look at those eyes, Mark. He is lit up right now. And Matt Ryan, you better hold on up there at BC, man. This Heisman guy here, number 5, is coming after you.
I think he's coming to get some. On the kickoff return. This is Culliver. And Culliver brought down at the 36-yard line. Stan Verrett, update us on that BC-Florida State game. What's going on there?
All right, you guys mentioned Matt Ryan. Let's take a look at him. Florida State taking on BC. Ryan getting some help from his man Brandon Robinson. Great catch by Robinson, but it would only set up a field goal. Florida State just scored, so it's 19-10. Bob Davies completed less than 50% of his passes tonight, 16 yards, but a pair of picks for Ryan. So where do you have him now in that race?
Number 2?
No, I'm not going to. No. Remember what he did against Virginia Tech down there in the rain? Yeah. There's still a lot of football left. Stan's jumping off that bandwagon. He's trying to get me to jump off the Matt Ryan bandwagon. But I'm telling you, this guy right here, Darren McFadden, number 5, is still in this race now.
Got to be. And remember, after this game, they've got 3 more remaining. Put up huge numbers this year in some games, especially throughout his career against South Carolina. 187 as a freshman, 219 last year, 274 this season with the meter still running with time to go in this game, over 7.5 minutes.
And if you're Steve Spurrier, get him out of here. Get him to the NFL. Don't come back for that senior year. You know, Jerry Jones here tonight, Mark. The Dallas Cowboys owner, as you mentioned, he'd look good with that star on his helmet, wouldn't he?
Certainly would. 7:43 to go. McKinley on the catch. Nowhere to go, though. Brought down at the 35-yard line. Stacy has more on McFadden.
Well, Mark and Bob, I spoke with Weston Dacus, who's a linebacker for Arkansas recently, and I asked him, a guy who sees McFadden every day in practice and tackles him, what is it like to tackle Darren McFadden? Why is it so challenging? He said, the big thing is, as soon as he hits the hole so fast that it's almost impossible at times to get your shoulders squared up to the guy. And by the time you realize it, he's past you and he's beat you. And another reason, guys, why he pulls piles down. Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, he is an incredible athlete, Stacy. That pass incomplete, up for grabs for a while and ruled incomplete at the 45. In and out of the arms of Jared Cook. 3rd and 9 coming up for South Carolina.
Mark, let me make one last point here about the runs McFadden has had. How many times tonight, including Felix Jones, have they gone untouched? I mean, he went untouched on an 80-yard run. Felix Jones has gone into the end zone untouched.
Yeah. At this level, in this comp,
you never see that.
Under 7 minutes to go. A defining point of the game here for South Carolina. Mitchell given time and barely got it away before being hit back at the 25. And it's 4th down for the Gamecocks. Dacus lowering the boom on Mitchell. Dacus, one of those 17 seniors for the Razorbacks, playing his final home game here in Fayetteville.
Mark, excellent pressure by Malcolm Shepard. And then Weston Dacus, the linebacker, number 30. Watch him spying on the quarterback. See him sitting right there? And then when Blake Mitchell tries to run, he closes. Steve Spurrier going to go ahead and punt this football right here.
4th and 9 coming up. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie and Stacey Dales down in the field here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Frank Boyles Field. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. As the punt is going to be down to inside the 15-yard line at the 14. With 6:42 to go, the Razorbacks looking for their 5th win in the last 6 games. McFadden got lightning in a bottle tonight and patented it too. Back after this. McFadden getting a breather on the sidelines, and he's done a little bit of work tonight. 274 yards on the ground, a school record.
Yeah.
First down and 10.
Our guy Felix is back in there, though.
Yeah, he's only got 160. Felix Jones brought down short of the 20-yard line. Stan Verrett with the Sports Center in-game update. What's up with BC?
Well, Mark, I tell you what, Drew Weatherford looks more like the Heisman candidate tonight. With Xavier Lee out, the job is Weatherford's, and he's over 300 yards with a pair of touchdowns. This one to Dakota Fagg. Matt Ryan had the 2 late touchdowns last week. He's going to need 2 more because he's down 10 points there.
Florida State finding their stroke tonight, Bob, offensively. They've undergone so many changes at that quarterback position with Xavier Lee, like Stan mentioned. McFadden in the wild hog formation. Keeps it himself. Saw another 80-yarder coming down the pipe that time, didn't you?
He's like he shot out of a cannon again. On the little quarterback wrap play, you're going to see Michael Smith come in motion. And now they pull the tackle around as the lead blocker.
This is as fast as he has looked in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
I'm going to tell you something. He's healthy for the first time since Alabama, and the cool weather has definitely helped him. Mark, you could not do this on a hot, humid night, what he is doing.
Yeah, when we saw him earlier in the season, it was really sticky and hot here in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
And that's 600 yards right now, Mark, for Arkansas on offense.
Hey, look at this. They got a fullback, Bob. Yeah. Peyton Hillis, by the way, an effective one. No disrespect to Hillis, a key part of their success this year. Got about 3 on the play. The clock winding down, approaching 5 minutes to go. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davie and Stacey Dales down in the field. Steve Spurrier's team looking to snap out of their 2-game losing streak coming into this one and move above the 500 mark in the SEC's Eastern Division. Coming into the night, they still had hopes of winning the division, albeit they needed a lot of different things to happen, especially with Georgia and Tennessee. McFadden, close to the first down, stopped up just shy of it, depending on the spot. And keep in mind, for South Carolina, their defensive back, a key cog back there, safety Emmanuel Cook, has not played most of the second half because of a leg injury.
Well, and you see Munnerlin, their corner, going off the field right there. A football team that had a lot of cramps last week in Knoxville, talking about South Carolina. You know, Mark, but Houston Nutt. Let's talk about Houston Nutt. He gets a lot of heat for running the football so much. A lot of people say, listen, you're 70% run on first down. You ought to throw it a little more on first down. Are you kidding me? Throw the football when you have this kind of running back situation?
They're not watching the same tape and games that we are, because they've got the same type of big play capability on third down when you hand it off to McFadden or Jones as you do throwing it deep.
Yeah, and you have to love the scheme. I mean, there is a lot of window dressing, a lot of misdirection. I mean, they come at you in a lot of different ways. I think Arkansas is hitting their stride right here going into November now.
This game plus 3 more to go for the Razorbacks. They can still make a lot of good things happen. 500 total rush yards tonight.
Do you realize 500 yards rushing?
They have put on a clinic. Hillis going over the top for the first down, and back to Houston Nutt. Great coaching lineage in his background. His father was the basketball coach at Arkansas School of the Deaf, and Houston and his brothers grew up in predominantly black neighborhoods of Little Rock, Arkansas, playing basketball. And Houston telling us yesterday he thought he might play in the NFL or the NBA at some point. Got into coaching, and you know, really has a tight-knit family, and he has really survived a lot of personal attacks here in Arkansas. And you look back to just a year ago, hey, they got 10 wins. A lot of teams would be happy to take that. Run it again up to the 45-yard line.
I know the happiest guy in this stadium.
Seeing a fumble down on the field.
But Tyrone Nix, Mark, he's got to be happy. The defensive coordinator from South Carolina just to see 22 carry the football and not 5 and 25. And I'm not rapping on Peyton Hillis. He's a great player. But, I mean, this is they got shocked tonight. I'm talking about South Carolina. I mean, the speed on this football field with 5 and 25, it's a different gear tonight.
It's not like McFadden and Jones haven't done it to several other defenses throughout the course of their respective careers. Boyd watching from the sidelines. Offense trying to get the ball and back on the field. McFadden, look at those feet, those shoulders. A couple of yards short of the first down, got about 8. Well, he started off as Fred Flintstone earlier in the week. Fred doesn't have that extra gear, though. Threw for a touchdown pass tonight. Well, 2nd of the season, 5th of his career.
This is his Heisman testimonial right here when he goes 80 untouched. And Captain Munnerlyn from South Carolina, Mark, they say he runs a 4.35.
Not on that play. Felix Jones now spelling McFadden, and Jones running hard. And like you said, Bob, during the commercial, there's no real, running out the clock with this running game. They didn't score when they touch it.
Yeah, exactly. The thing you respect so much, though, is like McFadden, how much he has on the line. I mean, let's face it, he's going to be probably the first player drafted next year in the NFL draft, right?
Yeah.
He's out there now playing as hard as he played the first time he carried the ball when he was a freshman. And let's be honest and let's be realistic. I mean, there's a lot at stake for this kid and his family, but there is no letting up with this kid now.
On 1st down and 10, McFadden again. McFadden brought down after a gain of about 5 this time. Bob, like you said, there are so many different outside influences as McFadden goes over 3 bills, 300 yards rushing on the night. It would be somewhat, I'm not saying totally, somewhat understandable if deep in the recesses of his mind, he somewhat shut it down and say, you know what, I got a lot on the line. But here he is running with authority and a lot of fury in this game still, even late in this ball game.
No question. No question. It comes back to what kind of kid he is. He's just an unassuming guy that has fun, doesn't take himself too serious.
I'm mad at him for one thing. He still wouldn't give me the keys to that nice candy red ride of his.
That's going to be a throwaway car for him in a little bit when he signs that NFL contract. Trust me.
McFadden brought down. Speaking of that ride.
This has Mark Jones written all over it.
Look at that chrome, Bob Davie. I dream of that. 22-inch rims, 12-inch woofer speakers, all kinds of bass in your face when he turns up that TI music, DVDs to watch replays and Sports Center on the tube there and decked out.
Let me ask you something. When that thing comes down the main street in Fayetteville, Arkansas, there's nowhere to hide. Is there any other car like that in the entire state of Arkansas?
I don't think
let
so.
alone Fayetteville.
I was a little disappointed he didn't have hydraulics in there, lifting the front and top and bottom up and down. But that might be the next addition for DMAC. Under a minute to go.
I hear a slight Heisman chant here in the stands right now.
I think I pick up on that too.
But how about Arkansas, Mark? They come in here 634 total yards, 525 yards rushing against a proud South Carolina defense. Now, this is a good defensive football team.
And, Bob, you saw the hug, little dap that McFadden gave his head coach, Houston Nutt, with all of the controversy in the wake of that during the months that preceded the regular season. To speak with the South Carolina players and to hear their collective voices in unity and support of their head coach in light of some of the attacks. Yeah, the Arkansas players fully supporting their coach. Some of the antics that some of the people have pulled here, flying planes and banners overhead, decrying the coach, straight up childish.
It's brutal.
It is.
And Houston Nutt is a great fit as the head coach at Arkansas now. But Darren McFadden came out and said to the student body, he said, if you don't support our coach, you're not supporting us as a team. And across the board, these players, when they come in, great support for Houston Nutt. And you know what? That says a lot to me. Yeah. That says a lot. And I think this guy's a great football coach. I think he's a great fit here at Arkansas.
You can't fool the players. They know, Bob. You've been there.
My signal. Reset the game clock to 1 minute. The game
and
clock
how about tonight,
and the play clock
Frank Broyles is honored here. All those former Arkansas greats, they got to see a show tonight. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say this isn't the best player in Arkansas history, number 5, Darren McFadden. If there's been a better player here at Arkansas,
he's got to be in the top 1.
Wow. Great win for Houston Nutt, though.
As Arkansas now will improve to 6-3 overall in the season and 2-3 in conference play. And winners in 5 of the last 6 games overall. 3 games remaining on the docket. And with this link tonight, Felix Jones, McFadden, and the crew. Oh, don't sleep on D-Mac. Don't nap on him. Mark. Yep. Let's go back to Stan Verrett for a quick BC update.
All right, Bob. Matt Ryan has one more chance to impress you before your game ends here. Ryan going up top to Rich Goodell. And that would set up this. Ryan to Ryan Purvis for the touchdown. 377 yards and a pair of touchdowns for Ryan so far. And BC within 3 now, trying to keep those national title hopes alive.
Yes, Dan, you were jumping off that boat a little bit earlier. I could tell by your voice inflection. I'm still on the boat, but I'm telling you, Darren McFadden is on board now as well.
Yeah, you got to make a little room for number 5. He had it in overdrive tonight. He put a lot of hustle in his muscle tonight. McFadden, Jones. Hey, Casey Dick, not spectacular, but very efficient at the quarterbacking spot. And Steve Spurrier's team had high hopes coming in, but now leave with their 3rd consecutive loss. McFadden certainly right now near the epicenter of the Heisman conversation after a truly stellar performance tonight. He was indomitable. He was unstoppable when he got his hands on the ball. As they improve now to 6-3 overall, 2-3 in conference play on senior night. 16 seniors playing their final game here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and going out on a winning note. As a team, they had 541 rushing yards. Wow. 48-36 the final score. Up next on ESPN2 NHRA qualifying. For more on this game, turn it over to ESPN News. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Bob Davies, Stacey Dales, and our entire gang, I'm Mark Jones. What a night it was. Jones, Jones, more Jones, McFadden, McFadden, and more McFadden. Right now, it's NHRA qualifying. So long, everybody.